Welcome. My name is Austin Hamilton, also known as Porn Coach. Porn Coach. Go live on TikTok, and here we go. Oh, someone wants to co-host with me? No. All right, we did it. We are doing it. Welcome, welcome. My name is Austin Hamilton, also known as Porn Coach, PXRN, COACH. We are here tonight on TikTok asking the question, is porn cheating? And then we'll see what happens. We usually have fun. We always have fun here on the TikTok. If you would like to ask a question, you can do that. If you want to share your opinion, you can do that. If you want to debate, you can do that. If you want to just come and say what's up, you can do that. No. Chris, you want to come on and tell us why you think that? Love to chat with you. You don't have to. Obviously. It's your choice. Yeah, Chris, elaborate. Elaborate. You're good, thanks. Oh, why is that? I'm curious. No problem, though. It's not for everyone. Talking about porn on the internet. What is up, Faith Duncan? Nope. Why get mad about it? Watch it together and both have fun as a couple. Okay, Lauren, that's one perspective. Interesting. You want to come on here and tell us more? I think the act of doing things behind your partner's back and lying constitutes as cheating / unfaithful. Okay. I think it comes down to what boundaries are set in the relationship. Boundaries are good, very useful. There we go. Hello, how are you tonight? Teneri, I am good. Thank you. Is life cheating? What a great question. If you wouldn't do it in front of them, then it is cheating. Queen Vanessa, hello. Dang, there's almost 600 people. Yeah, it usually spikes up to 1,000 and then it comes back down to around 200, but whatever. We're here for it anyways. Marcella, hi there. How are you? Oh, Marcella's gone. It's okay. Someone else will come on here. If you don't follow me yet, would you please follow me? Follow button is up there somewhere. Like, subscribe, share. No, because corn is fake. It's not cheating, but it's weird. Is that not enough? It's weird. That phrase is being used a lot now, especially in the political scene here in the United States. Tate. Oh, still didn't come on. Marcella. Okay. Well, she's back. Marcella, hi there. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. What's up?
I think porn is cheating, and my ex-husband was addicted to porn. I didn't realize it until we were already married. And then I found the type of porn that he would start watching, and he would just keep watching it for hours every night and stay up late and do it. And it was really disturbing. It was like stepfather does stepdaughter and things like that. And then a lot of the girls looked underage. I don't know if they were. And then after everything came to a head and I kicked him out of the house and everything. I found on his phone that he had been in touch with like several minors through social media, and yeah, like turned him in to the authorities. But it was like because of how addicted he was and what he liked and what made him feel good, nothing that I could give him would do that. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you found all this and you turned him in. Did he get the book handed to him?
Honestly, I don't know if he did because I just had to cut off all contact with him.
You just
But I don't think
unsubscribed.
so. Yeah, exactly. I don't think
Wow.
so. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
really, really scary because he's Hispanic and he has, so he goes to Mexico quite a bit, and I still had access to his Google, so I was seeing like he was going to like Tijuana and stuff and meeting up with like underage girls that were probably, sex slaves, and it was absolutely just disgusting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was only with him for about 3 years, but he was part of my family. Like, it was just so disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just made me look at everything like so differently. Like the people that I had around, the younger teenage girls that I had, helping me with my horse at the time, like he was probably looking at them. It was just like it brought up all this stuff. And yeah, so
Wow.
very, very he went off the deep end basically.
How long were you married to him?
Um Pretty much a year.
And how long did you know him?
About 2 years before we got married.
Okay. Were there any signs of this type of behavior?
So the only sign was that well, okay. So he had actually never had sex until he was first engaged to another girl, or the girl before me, I guess, at the age of 27. I think he lost his virginity. And then, they got engaged. And so that was his only relationship, only girl he had ever been with before me. And so then he, meets me, and he kind of like needed to be taught a lot of things, but yeah, and me finding out like what type of porn and how often he was watching it, that happened like 3 months into the relationship. But of course he denied it. He's like, no, 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 when I watch something, it just automatically goes to the next video. It's not that I'm searching for that stuff, which, so there was red flags, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Well, man, that's tough. And great job standing up for yourself and for, doing what you felt was the right thing in
Thank
a
you.
yeah, in a difficult situation. You're married to him, and man, that takes a lot of strength and courage.
Yeah. I mean, thank God that we didn't have a kid together. We were going to try to adopt,
Hmm.
Thank God none of that happened. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it could have gone really left quickly. But
Wow.
yeah, so it's pretty scary, and definitely porn is a very addictive thing and very common nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
is.
it's sad, like it makes it hard to even just be a normal woman like out there, because the men think that we can do what the porn stars are doing or should do what the porn stars are doing.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
it's
just,
fake.
it's all fake. And then you
Yeah,
have all of the social media, the influencers or like the sexy girls online that, have Photoshop or this or that. And it's like there you can't compete with that. So, but it's hard
yeah,
to find a guy that understands that that is fake, you know?
totally. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
What a
Thanks for
thing.
having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Glad
Take
I
care.
found you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.
Wow. All right. Like and share, people. Give me a follow. Give me a subscribe up there if you're new here. High Wind. Hey, what's going on?
Oh, not much. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks. What's up?
Yeah, with the prompt there, I think it definitely can be cheating, and I think it can be just a part of you and your partner's life and not cheating at all. It just comes down to those boundaries you establish with each other when you're starting the relationship.
Okay. Do you watch porn?
Yes.
How often?
Maybe once a week, maybe.
Okay. And are you in a relationship?
Yeah, I've been married for 7 years.
Okay. And does your wife know that you watch porn?
Yep.
Cool. Is she there? Let's get her on.
No, she's in bed because it's 11:15 where I'm at.
Okay. How do you think your wife feels that you like looking at somebody else that isn't you and getting aroused from it?
It doesn't bother at all. She watches it as well.
How do you feel that your wife gets aroused looking at someone else's eggplant?
Does not bother me one bit.
Hmm. Okay. Do you guys watch it together?
We have a couple times, and it was all right, but you just turn it off and kind of get into it with each other anyway. So it's more of a if she's not in the mood one day, or if I'm not in the mood one day, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you think it draws you guys closer in your relationship or wedges between you guys?
I don't think it does either. Occasionally, we've like when we were first dating, we talk about like what our likes and dislikes were, and it was kind of a interesting conversation. Just kind of a get to know each other more. But ultimately, it's kind of like I like video games and she doesn't care about video games. She likes certain reality TV shows that I don't care about. So we'll talk about it. We know it's a part of the other person's life, but it's not a big deal.
Do you masturbate to the video games?
Oh, no.
Why not?
Because my hand's full of a controller would be the joke answer. Sorry, I couldn't resist. The real answer is it's not that kind of stimulation.
So it's different.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah.
was using that as an example of like there are some interests we share, there's some interests we don't share.
Hmm. Got it. Interesting. Do you guys have kids?
Yes.
At what age do you think it would be appropriate for your kids to watch porn?
So that one for me, and I love this topic. I started seeing, and I mean, I'm 34, so it wasn't as accessible when I was growing up as it is now. But I still managed to get my hands on it fairly regularly when I was like 14, 15. And between not being mature enough to know the smoke and mirrors and kind of the any entertainment industry being separate from reality and then only having locker room talk to go off of, it really hit my self-esteem. Like, it is not for kids at all. And it took me until I was in my early to mid 20s to just kind of not be so self-conscious about my body. And I'm a guy, I'm sure it's even worse for women. So I don't have a set age, but definitely not teenagers. It should be an adult industry for adults.
Okay. Do you think that being exposed to pornography at that young of an age was not good, for lack of a better word, or maybe prevented you from
Oh no,
from
no,
some things?
it definitely wasn't good. Like I said, the self esteem was a huge hit because you compare your body to those bodies, and as an adult, you understand everybody's built different, and there's camera effects, there's angles, there's body brush artists. There's a lot of ways that they make a product meant for entertainment. And then there is kind of expectations of acts, like physical acts, that I think if you just kind of naturally explore yourself with your partner, you come closer to what works for you and your partner than trying to emulate what you saw on the screen, because
Hmm.
you don't know the difference between entertainment and normal people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Well, thanks for sharing.
Hey, not a problem.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Tate. I hope it's not Andrew Tate.
Hey,
Hi there. How's it going?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Nothing. I don't think porn is cheating as long as there is an open end of communication. You're watching legal and safe acts of porn.
What does legal and safe acts of
I
porn mean?
also think it's a healthy
What does
gateway
what does
of
what does legal and safe porn mean?
like nothing underage, nothing creepy, nothing weird.
What would creepy or weird be?
Like, it's both like you're both consenting on both ends.
In the actors in the porn?
Well, I know there's like dominating aspects, but I'm just saying like nothing like weird and creepy, like on the like dark web kind of thing.
Well, here's the thing with anybody who watches any type of porn, generally speaking, they don't think that what they watch is weird and creepy.
May I ask, do you think is porn cheating?
I think if you're in a committed monogamous relationship where you've said something like "I love you and only you, mind, body, and soul till death do us part," I think if that's the agreement you have in the relationship, if you deviate from that, I think it would be cheating. You can deviate from that using other people for sexual pleasure, whether that's on a screen or not. So that's what I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, I'm very open to like open communication about this topic, so that's why I was just interested in on joining this live.
Yeah. Yeah, so what would weird and creepy porn be in your perspective?
Just like I don't I mean there's like very like vast like varieties of and it's everybody's different opinion of like what's weird and creepy. I'm just going off
I
basis like
know.
what I
That's
think
that's why
is
I'm
weird and
asking.
creepy.
Well, that's why I'm asking you. What do you think is weird and creepy?
Just like some like really like maybe like possibly like super old and then very young like but of course legal age but still it's like kind of weird.
So age gap for you would define if it's weird and creepy.
That's a little creepy to me, yes.
Okay. Okay. So age gap is creepy. Are there any other categories that you would say are weird and creepy?
No, not really. I mean, just like if you and your partner both like watch that, I feel like if you have an open end conversation about like what you're into, that could possibly help your relationship, just as long as you keep an open end line of communication.
Okay. So the only thing that's weird and creepy is somebody who's really old with someone who's
No,
really
you're
young.
putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that's the only thing. That's the only
Well,
thing I
hold
can
on, hold on.
possibly think of right now.
I asked you, and that's what your answer was, and then I said, "Are there any other types that you would say are weird and creepy?" And then you didn't have any other to offer. So then I concluded
Yes,
that that's the only
I
one.
mean, it's a
Are there
live
any
chat.
other
I really can't
categories?
think on the top of my head. I'm not a live streamer like you.
Well, are there any other categories you can think of?
Not off the top of my head right now.
What about like porn with animals? Would that be weird and
Oh,
creepy?
absolutely not. No, thank you.
That wouldn't be
That's
weird and creepy?
that's legal. That's illegal, and I'm not about that.
Okay. Well, I to me that was fairly obvious, so I was just curious if you thought that
Yes,
would be weird and creepy
I
as well.
agree.
Are there any other categories?
Again, I can't think of any on the top of my head right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I could, but
Great chatting with you. Hope you have a great stream.
Thank you. You too. Bye
Bye.
bye. I could go on with a bunch of things that, in my point of view, are weird and creepy, but we all have different opinions. User, oh gosh, turn the music off. Turn the music off. Please. All right, you're out. Mike knows what's going on.
Yo, what's going on, brother?
Not much. What's up?
Nah, I'm just seeing your topic. I don't think it's cheating.
Okay. Tell me more.
I view cheating as like having an intimate relationship with someone in real life, physically, not on a phone screen.
Okay. Okay.
Is that valid for you?
Well, anything's valid. Anybody can have whatever opinion. Can I ask you questions about that?
Yeah.
So what if it's a OF creator and you're paying them money?
I don't think that's cheating.
Okay. All right. Are you in a
The
relationship?
showbiz. Yeah.
What does your girlfriend think, or wife, or partner?
Probably that is just showbiz.
So in your orientation, cheating is only if you're engaging with somebody physically in person. But if you're giving somebody money online in exchange for sex or sexual things in nature, that wouldn't be cheating for you, and you think that your girlfriend would be okay with that?
I don't think that that's cheating. I don't think the strip club is cheating, and I don't think OF is cheating, and I don't think porn is cheating.
Okay. Do you engage in any of those things? Is your girlfriend there?
No, she's not.
Okay. Does she know that you, assuming you participate in at least some of that, does your girlfriend know that you do that?
I don't think so.
How do you think she'd respond if you told her that?
She'd probably just stick with me, honestly.
Okay. How often do you watch porn?
Probably like 10 to 15 times a day.
10 to 15 times a day?
Yeah,
Okay. How many times do you masturbate a day?
like 10 to 15.
All right. Now you're trolling.
No, I'm not.
You masturbate 10 to 15 times a day.
Yeah, so it makes it about like 60 times a month, probably.
Who's the person laughing in the background?
I wasn't laughing. That was you. You were laughing.
I said, who's the person laughing in the background?
No one.
How old are you?
The only person laughing was you. You were laughing at me.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. Yeah, low-key believe him.
Good evening.
Woods X. Hi there. Good evening.
So I do not think porn is cheating.
Okay.
It's really at this point in society. I know that there's a difference, but we see half naked people walking down the street. I do think that it needs to be regulated and restricted a little bit more so teenagers can't have access to it. But to say it's cheating would be like saying when you see an attractive person at the beach and you're looking at them, that is cheating. And that's really just human nature.
So you're saying if you look at somebody who may be deemed attractive, that's cheating?
No, I'm saying it is not cheating.
Oh, it's not.
It's similar to porn where you see half naked people, and that's not cheating either.
Got it.
because
Okay.
it's just a fantasy.
Well, yeah, but if you see a attractive or beautiful person, generally speaking, some do, but generally speaking, people don't just stop and drop their pants and start masturbating.
Right.
Where I'm from, at least. I don't know.
I
Though I
no,
have
and
seen that happen before. One time I was in Boston and we took a wrong turn, and it was like one of those sanctioned places where people can do drugs and do whatever. There were people masturbating all over that street. Don't drive down that street if you're ever in Boston. I don't know what the name of the street was.
Can I ask
So,
why you
what's that?
can I ask why you think or believe porn is cheating?
Well, I think if you're in a committed monogamous relationship with another person and you've said something like, I love you and only you, I'm committed to you and only you with my mind, body, and soul till death do us part, if you've said something like that to another person, I think if you deviate from that, whether it's with a person on a screen or in real life, I think that that's cheating. It's going against the agreement that you made to the person.
When you are watching a movie, a rated R movie, you're not really seeing anything, but you know it's a sex scene. Do you think that is cheating?
No, because that's categorically different. Movies, which are generally art, are not porn. Porn is imagery usually depicting an organ or multiple organs of a person with the erotic intent to arouse. Porn is categorically different than a sex scene in a movie.
I agree with that. But there are some movies that are, even while they're rated R, are a little bit more risky than others.
Correct. Some rated R movies and NC-17 movies certainly would fit the category of having the erotic intent to arouse and therefore would be pornographic. Yeah.
And so if you watch that on your own, you would be cheating under your definition.
Well, if you're watching porn, in my orientation, yeah, I think you would be. Now, if you're just watching a movie and a sex scene comes on, and it's like, oh gosh, okay, hold on a second. You know, that's
Would
different.
it matter if you knew or you heard that this movie has a particularly spicy scene in it and you were watching that movie for that reason?
What do you think?
I'm thinking you're probably going to say yes, that's cheating. That's
Well,
what I'm thinking.
I
That's
think
not
it
my
comes
opinion
down.
though.
Well, I think it's where's your heart in that. If your heart is to intentionally and in a premeditated fashion say, I'm going to go watch this, and then let's just say it leads to you masturbating. I mean, I'd say that's a problem.
Okay. And as an example, and I'm not trying to like one up you or anything like that, but if you saw someone attractive, your waitress when you were out to dinner with your partner, didn't act, she was fully clothed, but you were like, damn, she's good looking. And then when you got home, you masturbated and you were thinking about her, would you think that is cheating?
Well, I would want to ask that person's partner. I would say, how would you feel if you knew that I saw a hot waitress and then I came home and I masturbated while thinking of her? I would ask the partner what they think. What do you think? If your husband, I don't know if you're married or not, but if your husband, went out to dinner with the guys, had a few drinks, and then before he comes and says hi to you, he just says, hey, hold on a second. Got to go to the bathroom. There was a really hot waitress. I'm going to go rub one out. How would you feel?
I'd be like, I'm glad you found her attractive and you're being honest with me about that. You didn't go home with her. You didn't kiss her. Like there was nothing, there's no attraction. There's no relationship between the two. It's just all in one's mind and we can't control someone else's thoughts.
So you'd be happy for him?
I'm not saying I would be happy, but I wouldn't feel betrayed. I would appreciate his honesty for it.
What if he just came and sat down next to you on the couch and just starts masturbating,
Well, that's
thinking of that
inappropriate.
woman? Okay, but
That
in the
is
bathroom,
inappropriate.
but in the bathroom, it's not inappropriate?
It's privacy. Don't you want to have privacy when you go into the bathroom?
I did before I got married, and once I got married, all that went out the window.
I have the same partner for 20 years. We've lived together probably 15.
Mm-hmm.
I want my privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
bathroom included.
There's a difference between privacy and secrecy.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So how would you feel though if your partner was like just masturbating to all these other women who he found attractive?
Well, I would think that there would be an issue of our relationship, that maybe there's something I'm not doing to, satisfy him. If this was a chronic issue, if this was, if this was what the other caller was talking about 10 times a day,
Pretty sure
that's
he was trolling.
and I agree, because when you add up how the amount of time it would take for 10 times a day,
Well, that would only
and
take about 30 minutes in total, maybe 50. I don't know.
but what I'm
Maybe
saying
I don't know.
is, listen, you brought up the whole OnlyFans thing and questioned it, like whether that's cheating or not, and it got me thinking. OnlyFans, you're paying money to some girl or someone for something. And I was thinking, when you first said that, I was like, I'd be fine with that. It's just online, some stranger online that he finds attractive or I find attractive. I think the difference with OnlyFans comes in with the financial aspect. That if we had an agreement of, these are our goals, and you are paying X number of dollars per month, week, whatever, and that is not helping us move forward in our goals, I think that leans more towards cheating than not. However, if we are financially very well off and the extra 10 or 15, $20, whatever it is per month doesn't harm us, then who cares? Because you're getting some sort of enjoyment out of it.
So
And
it
there's
depends on
so
your income. If you're lower income,
no,
OnlyFans
no, no,
would
no,
be
no,
cheating. But if you're
no,
higher
no,
income, well, that's
not,
what you said.
no. You are dicing my words.
No, hold on. Well, let me feed it back to you. What I heard you say was, if you just go spend money on somebody on OnlyFans, it's not cheating. But if you have financial abundance and you do it, then it. I'm sorry. If you don't have a lot of abundance, it is cheating. But if you have a financial abundance, it's not cheating.
But it depends on that party's goals, that couple's goals. So
Well,
if
am I correct?
sending,
The chat's saying that I got it correct. Can you? Is that what? Did I understand that part correctly?
it's not about the socioeconomic of the couple. It's in relationship to their goals.
Okay.
If they're
Well, I
trying to
agree
save
with
for
that. I think most people have a relational goal of being monogamous and committed to one another and one another
no,
only.
no, I was referring to financial goals when I mentioned that.
Oh, okay.
So if I was trying to save for a down payment on the house with my partner, we were both like, oh, let's match equally. And I'm like, I want to do this amount. And he says he can't do that amount, but then he is sending money to an OnlyFans person. Yeah, I do think that is cheating, or is closer to cheating than just looking at OnlyFans,
Well, what?
because there is some deception there.
Okay. Well, in your orientation, what is cheating?
The physical acts. The
Okay.
physical acts, and then also there is an emotional component when they check out of the relationship.
Okay. Tell me more about that emotional component, and then try to apply that to what somebody does when they're watching porn.
So, like flirt, like basic, that whole like boss secretary relationship where it's like casual flirting, and then it goes into something secretive, and she's thinking he's going to leave his wife for her. Started off very innocently, and now because feelings are growing, things are going to change. Yeah, totally.
Okay. So in your orientation, if it's a boss secretary relationship that starts in secret, and then when the secretary starts thinking that he's going to leave the wife, that's cheating.
Or he's thinking he's going to leave his wife for her and there's no like physical connection. Yeah. That's,
Okay.
I do think that's the beginning.
Okay. Well, if I could just offer you, that's usually in almost every case what happens. It's the same thing with pornography. They're leaving the relationship and turning to pornography.
But they will never be with that porn star.
Not true. Porn use always escalates into physical cheating. I'm sorry. That was not correct. Porn use always escalates. It can escalate into physical cheating. It doesn't always, but it can. But porn use always escalates. Now, they might actually be with the porn star or
Sure.
the OF creator. It could
Possibly.
escalate into escorts or things like that. But it starts, just like a boss-secretary relationship, it starts by the heart turning away from the relationship and seeking something else.
But you are relating porn to being cheating as well as this other thing.
Well, I'm saying that cheating is a condition of the heart. It's not, like you said with physical cheating. Cheating is not at the moment of insertion, in my opinion. Maybe for you it is. Would you agree with that?
I agree that cheating is at the moment of insertion. Sure, of course.
It is at the moment of insertion?
Well, yes, I do think so.
Okay, so you think that to cheat is at the moment of insertion, that's when it becomes cheating?
If I go out to the bar, get drunk, and bring a guy home, that is cheating.
Okay. What
we sleep because
about going to the bar, being handsy, flirting, buying one another drinks, exchanging each other's numbers, sending each other risky texts? Is that cheating?
am I continuing to go to the bar with him to meet him there?
At least one time.
So I met him at the bar one time.
At
No,
least
that's
one
not.
time.
No, that is not cheating. But is that going to harm your relationship? Yeah, because you're probably starting to check out. But that is not cheating. As a female,
What is it then?
you're just having a relationship with another guy.
Outside the confines of your relationship. That's the definition of cheating. You just literally
You know
defined it.
how many male friends I have?
That friends are different. Having a
No.
it's the intent of the relationship.
I flirt with my male friends all the time. I'm not going to get in bed with them. I respect their partners, but joking around with them or sending them pictures, sure. Do I send them pictures of my private parts? No. And nor do I ask that. But just meeting them at the bar and being like a little flirty, you know where boundaries are, don't you?
Why would you, if you're married and committed to your husband, I think you said of 20 years, why would you
I'm
flirt
not.
with
No,
other
no, no,
men?
no. I did not say I was married. Sir, I am
Okay,
not
I'm sorry.
married. I do not believe in marriage.
Okay, I'm
But
sorry.
I have been with my partner for 15
15
years.
So
Yes.
you knew him for 5 before that?
We lived together for 15. We've been together for 20. Something like
Got
that.
it. Okay. I apologize. I thought
At
you
this
said
point,
you-
I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. What's the commitment you guys have in your relationship?
We're monogamous. He is my partner. I just don't believe in marriage. I think it is a religious construct. I think if you have the commitment between the two and you have trust between the two, then you know what? I don't need to have him work. I don't need to worry about him watching porn. And just to clarify a little bit, my partner and I, we lived together probably 10, 12 years. And then I moved cross country for school. And we lived separately, 2 different apartments, but we came back and forth between each other's apartments for about 3 years.
Okay.
And when we moved back in together after those 3 years, we had a little bit of growing pains, but it wasn't because he cheated or I cheated. we were both faithful. It was redeveloping the communication and having each other in our spaces again that we had the challenge to overcome and relearn how to live together. But I think if you trust your partner, why worry about it?
Does your partner go out and flirt with other women?
He's much more social than I am.
Does he go out and flirt with other women?
Does he flirt with other women? I don't believe he flirts with other women. Is he friendly with them? Sure. I would believe so.
If he went out and flirted with other women, how would that make you feel?
Why don't you define or provide an example of what you think flirting is?
Well, you said you go out and flirt with other men.
No, I said I'm flirty with my male friends that I'm close with. That's what I said.
Yes. So like I said, you flirt with other men.
They are my friends. They are his friends as well.
Are they men? And do you flirt with them?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you flirt with other men.
Sure. If that's how you're going to put it, but I do not agree.
No.
They are my friends.
That's how
There's
you
no
put it.
sexual.
I'm just making sure I understand.
Okay.
So how would you feel if your partner went out and flirted with other women?
Do I know these women? Are they my friends? Are they
Just other women. How would you feel if your partner went out and flirted with other women?
If we're using my example of like me hanging out with my male friends and being flirty sometimes, if he hung out with their wives, their girlfriends, and did the same thing, I wouldn't care.
So you wouldn't care if your partner went out and flirted with other women, including wives or girlfriends of your guys' mutual friends?
I didn't say other women. I said wives and girlfriends of my male partner's friends.
All right. Well, I know it's 2024, but in my point of view, wives and girlfriends means women. I know that's a controversial statement.
No. I see what you're saying. I just want to exclude like strange women that you would meet at the bar in this using the same context.
I'm not saying they're strange or not strange, just other women. So your answer is no. You're trying
to generalize something that can't be generalized, sir.
I don't care what your answer is. I'm just asking you. Would it bother you if your partner flirted with other women? I'm not mad at you either way.
There's no reason to be mad.
Exactly.
Would I be mad?
So why won't you just answer the question?
Because I feel like you're trying to trap me. And if I said, no, I wouldn't, and then you're like, oh, he can go to the bar. And that's not what I'm saying at all.
Look, you came on here. I'm just trying to get clarity on what your point of view is. It doesn't matter to me either way.
If we know them, we have a relationship, and we both know their boundaries, and they know our boundaries. No, that's not cheating. But if it's a stranger, and you know what, there's other intent behind it, yeah, I would think that's cheating.
Okay, so in your point of view, it doesn't bother you if your husband flirts with other women.
Other women?
And you also flirt with other men, and it's no problem for you.
Correct.
Okay.
We have been together for about 20 years, and neither of us have cheated. We have a very good relationship. I think restricting them from looking at a Victoria's Secret model, yeah, if you want that much control, yeah, you're gonna have problems later on.
Okay.
You let something free, it comes back to you. It was meant to be. If not, never was.
Like a boomerang, right?
And if the boomerang comes back to you, I don't know how you throw it. But I think a lot of it has to do with respect and trust.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.
Best of luck.
Oh. All right. Who's next? Blue Skis.
Yeah, hello.
What's up? Hi there.
Yeah, what's up?
What's going on?
I don't think it's cheating, right? I feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to the individuals and their boundaries. I would define cheating as having a physical or emotional connection between two people in real life. And to your point about OnlyFans, I would say no, that's not cheating. Although you're giving them money and you're paying for it, it's not in real life. And half the time when you are chatting with those people on OnlyFans, it's bots or texting. And the same thing with the porn website. It's one sided, right? You could have that emotional connection and feel that way towards that person, but like I would say 99% of the time, that person is not going to end up getting with that person in real life.
Okay. All right. Are you in a relationship?
Um, yeah, I've been in a relationship for 2 years now.
Okay. So you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you use OnlyFans or porn or anything?
Not OnlyFans. But I only use it, so I would say I use it at least once or twice every month or two. I don't have that desire, right? I don't really have that desire. I only really use it when I have that natural I would say that natural hormonal like just that natural feeling too.
Okay. How does your partner feel about that?
Oh yeah, she doesn't care. We both have the same the same ideas, the same standpoints. We're pretty clear on that. And we do have a serious relationship, so yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, okay.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
no problem, man. Have a great rest of your night.
All right. You too. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Hey there. How's it going?
Hey,
What's going
the
on?
only thing, the only thing I wanted to touch on is the thing that bothers me the most is I would always ask my husband, like, if you have time to do that, why not me?
It's a great question to ask a husband.
Yeah, like I've never like, oh, I have a headache, oh no, like none of that. So
Hmm. How,
uh,
how does your husband respond when you ask him that question?
he tells me that like it's just easier that I'm dealing with the kids at the time, and honestly, that confuses me.
Well, you know what? And hear me out here. He's right. It's much easier to turn to porn and get an instant
Yeah,
gratification than it is to be in a loving relationship with a woman. That
yeah.
is much harder to do. And it is much more rewarding to do that instead of turn to porn for a quick fix.
Wait,
How do
it's
you
much more
feel?
rewarding. Yeah, well, I'm
It's
sorry.
much more rewarding to have an intimate relationship with a partner or a wife
Yeah, that's what I
than it
thought.
is to turn to porn when you just need to
Yeah,
want to
yeah. So it
take
makes
care
me
of something.
feel like he something's missing, or uh,
Do you do you think something's missing?
no. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I
How long
don't
have you
know.
guys been married?
Almost 6 years. We were high school sweethearts. We reconnected. We have
Um,
5 kids together.
5 kids in 6 years?
No, no, no. We have. I said we reconnected.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So we have. I have some of mine. He has one of his, and we have one together.
Yeah. Okay. How long have you known that he deals with pornography?
Like 3 years. And then he
Did,
told me like when I brought it up. Sorry to interrupt you, but he told me like, oh, I didn't know you saw it as cheating, so I won't do it. But in the back of my mind, it's always there.
hmm Do you think he's actually stopped?
How do I know?
well, in my experience, a woman who has an intuition that their partner's watching porn is
Yeah, no,
rarely
you
wrong.
know, yeah, no, you know, it's, well, it's usually not stopping.
Hmm. Do you think he still uses it?
Yes.
Have you talked to him about that?
No, it's pointless
Why is that?
because the initial conversation was met with a lot of aggression and defensiveness.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 39.
39. Well, you got a lot of life to live. And you've is this how you want it to be?
No, I guess I'm hopeful that it'll change.
Yeah. Which is great. And hope is not a strategy. It's
Yeah.
great to have hope. But hope and a plan can lead to change.
So, do you believe that people that, okay, two questions. Do you think that people that watch it are automatically addicted?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know his situation at all. Um,
Yeah, I know.
but, even if they are addicted, there's always hope. There's always possibility. I watched porn for 20 years.
Yeah.
I stopped. I know plenty of guys who have stopped after being addicted. I think the addiction framework, the addiction language can be limited because it keeps people stuck. It puts people in a box. It's definitely valid. It exists. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you can be addicted and you can beat that addiction.
Yeah, but also he's someone who has other addictions. So does that play into it?
Probably like alcohol or drugs or something.
All of it. Alcohol, multiple drugs, tobacco, like I mean nicotine, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people.
Mm.
We all just want to be connected to one another in a deep,
Yeah.
intimate, authentic way. And when we don't find that, we generally turn to substances or porn or things that make us feel good,
Yeah.
which works. It's very effective for a short period of time. And then it leaves us feeling emptier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're dealing with that. I'm sure he's a good guy and he's struggling with some stuff.
Yeah, that's where I'm struggling. Like, is he able to beat it or do I walk away, you know?
I don't know the answer for you, Sarah, but can I read you a quote from a book?
Absolutely.
So this is from Facing Heartbreak, which is a workbook for women experiencing betrayal trauma. And it says on page, I read this like 5 times a night, 31, it says, there comes a moment when addicts realize they are about to lose everything. An intimate relationship, children, job, money, friends, and more. In this moment, addicts may finally receive the gift of desperation and become willing to embrace a program of recovery from addiction. You play an important part in this gift by making it clear when you've reached your limit and under what circumstances you will leave the relationship. So the question is, what if it was the most loving thing you could do to take a stand for yourself and your children for him to say, you know what, this has got to change and do
That's
something
rough.
courageous. Yeah. How does
Oh,
that land with you?
that's deep. Like, I don't know. Because it feels like you're leaving him by himself. I mean, he's not like can we say the word? But like corn addict. He's not like an addict, I don't think. I don't know, I guess, but
Well, the book is called Facing Heartbreak, Ellie. If you go to the resources link in my bio, it's on there.
yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Some of the clinical definitions of addiction is engaging in repeated behavior that's negatively affecting your life.
Yeah.
So are any of these
Yeah.
behaviors having a negative impact on his life or his work or his
Yeah.
responsibilities?
No, just our relationship. And it hasn't since we've had the conversation, but I just don't, I always question, is it still happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not having an impact on his job or anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, in my experience, that if somebody doesn't get professional help with this, the odds of them relapsing or turning back to it within 6 months is basically 100% if you don't address the root issue.
Yep.
So,
Well, thank you for that. I 100% agree with that. I've been telling him to get therapy, but you can only lead the horse to water.
you can't make them drink, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, Sarah. There's other resources in my bio if you're interested in that.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, you too. Bye.
All right. Like and share. Give me a follow if you don't follow me. If you like my content. A lot of people wait.
Hello,
Anna, hi there. How you doing?
doing good. I'm 30 years
Good.
old.
You're what?
30 years old. Guess I needed to confirm my age.
Okay, you're 30 years old?
Yes, I
Okay,
have a
got it.
disability.
Okay. What's going on?
You said, is it cheating? So you want me to answer that question?
Well, you can do whatever you want, but that's the question that I'm asking. And then now here you
Yeah,
are. So
if
do you
you're in a
want to answer it?
relationship, it's cheating, but I'm single, so I can watch it whenever I want, and I like it.
Okay. Okay. How often do
You
you
have any
watch it?
questions? 3 or 4 times a week. It's whenever I have the inspiration to watch it.
Okay.
Does that
3
feel
or 4
appropriate
times a
time to
week?
use?
Okay.
I love watching.
You love
It's one of
watching
my
it?
favorite things.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing.
Can I tell you what I like within TikTok guidelines?
No, thanks. I'll pass.
Oh.
Freya Parker. Hi there. How's it going?
Hello. It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. What's up?
I thought I would join this conversation because I myself do pornography. So I thought this would be kind of a different take.
Okay.
But
all right, I want to have this conversation, but I really got to pee, and I can tell this is going to be good. So
okay,
can you give me a
do
minute?
what you got to do for
All right,
sure.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to mute you. Hold on. All right. Freya Parker, the corn star. What's going on?
Hey, so this is a super interesting topic of discussion. But as far as is porn cheating, the question concerned. I personally don't think so. And I'm not just saying that because it's my profession, but I'm saying it because I have seen so many people's lives changed for better because of porn. Like, I go to a convention every year called AVN. It's held in Las Vegas. And so many like married couples
I
come
go there
and
every
meet
year too.
me. Do you?
Well, I go to CES, which is the same weekend or week as
It
the
is totally the
AVN.
same weekend. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
And
That's so funny.
actually, fun fact for you, I kind of got started doing this because on my way home from CES, I don't know how much I can say with certain words, but I sat next to a male who did other male type pornography
Oh, okay.
star on the plane. And I was wearing my porn coach hoodie. And he goes, "What do you do?" I go, "I help people stop watching porn." I go, "What do you do?" He goes, "I'm a porn star." And I go, "Sweet. Can I interview you?" And I interviewed him on the way home on the flight. It was fascinating.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. That's so yeah, I think so you know about that then about AVN, but every year I have like the opportunity to meet people that come from all different kinds of backgrounds, people with disabilities that aren't in relationships with people, and it's harder for them to be in relationships with people and are able to kind of get their fix from pornography. And then obviously married couples that pornography has made their marriages stronger. So I think it's just, I don't know. I think when people kind of ask, is it cheating? I don't think so. Also because I've been doing porn for 4 years now, and I have never, not once, ever been with a fan or a viewer that has consumed my porn. I've been nominated for awards. I'm in the top 500 on PH. Like, I take my job very seriously. So I would say no, it's not cheating, and that's just my perspective.
Yeah. Okay. How did you get into it?
I got in because I was a fan, but not like in the way that most people are fans. I was really big into vintage erotica. I liked a lot of super like 90s directors, and I wanted to be a director initially. And then when COVID happened, I had a desk job, which I could not continue at because of COVID. And I started doing like cam stuff online. And I was able to pay my bills with that. And then that eventually turned into me flying to LA to start doing pro shoots.
Okay. Got it. And how old are you?
I am 23.
And you've been doing it 4 years, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, the average age that a woman gets in it is 22, roughly, and they usually last about 7 years. Have you, and by the way, I'm totally just curious, okay? I want to ask you some questions, but have you like read some of the literature and read some of the things that former porn stars have come out with? You know, like Jenna Jameson, people like that?
Yeah, so funny enough, I have like the inside scoop on all these people, right? Because when I got in, I was a huge fan of someone that I ended up becoming very close with. And this woman had been in the industry for 30 years. So I personally spend a lot of my time around people that have been in this industry for 15, 20 plus years. I actually don't spend that much time with new girls just because I don't prefer to. But I've read a lot of those things, and I also know a lot of those people's stories and their backgrounds because I'm in this business. And I know that a lot of, for example, you've probably seen it, the documentaries called like When Porn Ends. Those are not great examples because a lot of those people are met by the mainstream media and they're like, hey, we're going to pay you this amount of money and this is what we want you to say. And a lot of those people have no intention of returning to porn. So they're like, hey, this person's going to pay me a lot of money. I can go and say all these things that they want me to say and paint porn however they want me to paint it, because mainstream media and people eat that up. They love hearing women regret their decisions, when in reality, like the majority of the people in this industry, it's a profession. So for me, I'm just like, I take all of that with a grain of salt, because I also know people that have been doing this job for 30 plus years that are married and have children and live beautiful lives. And they just aren't, they didn't go down the same path as people like Jenna Jameson. So I think it all depends on how you decide to carry out your career and how the people you surround yourself with and the decisions that you make. It's not porn, it's the person doing porn.
Have you seen the do you know Joshua Broom? Have you seen some of his stuff?
I have no idea who that is, no.
He was one of the top male porn stars. I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago. He did over 1,000 videos, and now he's like one of the strongest male advocates against the industry, and just sharing a lot from his perspective.
Oh, and I believe it. I believe it. When I think of people that have left porn that really are anti-porn, I think of people like Randy Spears. Randy Spears was a huge contract star in the early 2000s and then left the industry to become a priest of all things. And we see things like that all the time. We see people like Mia Khalifa, I think that's her name, which is ironic because she keeps all of her videos online. She still makes, and she's a millionaire off of those videos, but she'll speak out against porn even though it still pays her bills. So I always think about stuff like that because I'm like, what people they don't know the full story. They just know what the media is telling them. And I'm like, you guys, take everything with a grain of salt because this industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And as much as people may have their thoughts and ideas about it, it's not going anywhere. So I think that people need to kind of change their perspective and just know more about the industry before, there's like this, they kind of have this guilt about it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this book that just came out? I don't want to show it for too long because
No, I don't. I haven't seen that.
It's called Takedown.
Who was it written by?
Layla Mickelwait. She was. I haven't read it yet. I just got it. Somebody the other day told me to get it, but she basically was the one who instigated the lawsuits against the Hub, where they basically found all this underage stuff and consensual.
100%, and I 100% agree with that.
So how do you?
Yes, and I totally
You said
agree.
you're one of the top 500 creators on that site. How do you reconcile that working for these people?
Well, I'll say this. I got into porn after all of those laws were implemented. So technically, I have not been in porn when Pornhub wasn't regulated. Pornhub is now regulated. There's an insane amount of paperwork. I know this because it's my job. There's an insane amount of paperwork that has to be filed. You have to upload your IDs. They have to have all of your tax information. They have to have all this information about you before you can even upload a video to Pornhub. That did not used to be the case. But that's not just Pornhub. That's YouTube, that's Instagram. We're in the coming of age of the internet, right? So the internet is still growing and we are growing with the internet. And I don't agree with any of that. I do not promote, obviously, I don't know what I can say on here, but anything underage, that's messed up. And I can't agree with any of that. It's not acceptable. No one in my industry, I don't know one person that is okay with that. It's not something we promote. It's not something I promote. So, I'm happy that they're...
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that. And that's time and time again, that's what the industry always goes towards.
Right. Wait, what do you mean? Like promotes? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, it always goes to more and more risque things like that are illegal.
I'm confused. Can you give me an example?
I don't want to say the word just like you did, but that's what happens when we just let this stuff go rampant. Right, and unchecked, it's going to go to more devious places, right? Like it fuels the sex trafficking industry.
So that's really interesting because whenever people mention that, I hear that's like a huge thing. A lot of anti-porn companies and like agencies will speak about that. They're like, it funnels trafficking. I don't know what that even has to do with porn because let me tell you something. A normal day for me at my job is going to a set, signing legal paperwork, signing a W-9, signing everything. Like I literally have to pay taxes. I get a 1099 from every company that I work for. This job is 100% legal. Everything is legal that I do. And I've never gone to set and seen a person that's like, I'm being forced to be here. I'm not like that's never happened. Not with me, not with anyone that I know.
Well, yeah, in the legit studios, you're right. That probably doesn't happen there. Right. And
Well, and
maybe
that's, I only
they,
work for legit studios. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
I can't name, even don't get me wrong, there's some fucking creepy, pardon my language, there are some creepy people in this industry occasionally that I'm like, you know what? I'm not working with that person. I'm not associating with that person. And also, as of lately, a lot of people in this industry have come together to completely remove people like that from this business entirely.
hmm
So it's a work in progress, but that's
hmm
how it works.
Do you think a woman's body is a marketplace?
I think everyone's body is a marketplace.
Okay.
I mean, when people love to say that to me, they're like, "Oh, like you're selling your body," and I'm like, "So are you? Except you have a boss and I don't. I work for myself. I pay my own bills. I'm my own boss. I get my own jobs. Like no one runs me except for me." And then there are people that have to do hard labor and work like that, and they have a boss. I mean, they're selling their body, aren't they? It's the same thing. Construction workers, that's tough work, man. But they're selling their bodies,
Well, they're
and
selling labor. They're selling a
they
service.
are, and I'm providing a service.
Yeah, they're construction workers. They don't use their eggplant to perform the service that they're providing.
Crystal just said I'm a child. Well, that's not true, Crystal, because that would be illegal. So I would check that if I were you. But I mean, the reality is you don't have to. It's kind of like it's like the abortion like argument. Like at the end of the day, you're allowed to have an opinion, and you're allowed to say like, oh, I think that this should or shouldn't be like allowed. But at the end of the day, like it's going to exist. People are going to watch porn. People are going to consume porn. Sex work is one of the longest jobs that has ever existed. So, it is what it is.
Do you think that what downsides do you see to pornography, to people consuming pornography?
I That's a good question. I don't know if I see downsides. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think that I could possibly do a job that I thought was affecting people negatively. I wouldn't actively want to be doing a job where I'm like, this is hurting people. I can't do this anymore, knowing that it's hurting people. I don't want to be
Well,
a part of something like that.
All right. So, have you been reading the chat?
No, because it's a little much for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, yeah, I got that. But there's people just flooding it here, saying how much it's hurt them.
Well, let me read them. Let's take a look. See here. Lady, are you married? No, I'm 23 years old. Also, once again, I know married couples in porn. I know married couples outside of porn that come to me at these conventions and are like, I love watching your videos with my wife. I feel like we have a way stronger sexual connection with each other because of your videos. Like, what do you mean? Like, just because it doesn't apply to you, you don't have to watch it. If it doesn't do anything for you, then you
So
don't have to consume it.
look? There's probably been 25 comments of people saying it's ruined my marriage, it's ruined my relationship,
But
it's ruined my
how?
husband.
Like, you can't just
So
say
hold on, hold
that
on,
you
hold on,
can't
hold on,
just say
hold on.
that.
Look, I'm just curious. The question I asked was, do you think that there's any negatives to it? Okay, so people are
Well, then
saying it
those
has.
people
So
they're
hold on,
answering it, but do I know?
I got it, and I'm not arguing with you on this. I'm just curious. People are giving you evidence that it has negatively impacted them. My question is, are you willing to consider that maybe it does have a negative impact on at least some people?
I think that porn is a really easy way to blame your marital issues on instead of focusing on what's actually happening in your marriage. I think it's easy to be like, porn is the problem. Not me. I'm not the problem. My husband's not the problem. Porn is the problem. Let me tell you something. If porn was illegal tomorrow, you would still have problems in your marriage. It is not
And
the main issue of.
and I 100% agree with that. Porn is rarely the issue. It's a symptom of another problem. However, if an alcoholic says, you're not going to say to an alcoholic, well, alcohol isn't the issue, it's something else going on. It's like two things can be true. The alcohol is an issue and there's something deeper going on.
Well,
Porn
then,
is
but
an
also
issue
one is an
and there's
addiction
something
and
deeper
one
going on.
isn't. Right. But
That's a
also
good question.
I mean, because people love to bring up porn addiction, but at the end of the day, scientifically speaking, that's been debunked. Like, there is no such thing as a
That's
porn
not true.
addiction.
That's not true.
Can you
There's
give me an example?
yeah, there's the famous study, the brain scan study from it's like 2006 or something like that. I'm not sure
From
exactly.
who, though? Who did it?
It's a doctor. I don't have the study right in front of me. I can show you the image though, or I can link you to it.
Because
They
here's
looked
the
at the brain
thing.
scan of a porn addict and a coke addict, and they look exactly the same. It affects the prefrontal cortex of the brain,
But if
which
you
is where
look at
addiction comes
those,
from.
if you look at who actually is promoting those, a lot of them are religious organizations. They're not real.
And
It's literally religious
there's
organizations that are
plenty
trying
of
to.
no. The biggest organization against this is Fight the New Drug. It's a secular organization. They're the loudest.
I don't
people on
know. I
this.
don't know anything about them, so I'm not able to comment on that. But at the end of the day, like, that's also up for debate. Like, is porn actually an addiction or is it not?
Well,
So
how do you define addiction?
I define addiction as something that chemically changes your brain. Like, literally, like, for
100.
example,
There's no debate in the scientific community that would say
I can't
that that's not
inject
true.
porn into my body. It's something that you're telling me that something on your screen is you're addicted
Yes,
to
it's
something
been
on your
proven.
screen.
Yes, porn. It's been proven.
Well, until
Porn,
you tell
repeated.
me like what it was, then
I'm telling
how am I
you.
supposed
I
to
mean, you don't
believe
have to
you?
believe me. Look it up yourself. Look, brain scan porn addict.
Yeah, but also look at where that study comes from. Because once again,
There are
so many
so many
religious
studies on this.
organizations.
Look, the number one search result is Fight the New Drug, which is a non-faith-based organization that speaks out against pornography. I think if I put my window here, you'll be able to see it, or at least part of it. These are the brain scans. This one, the purpley one, the one in the middle is a heroin-addicted brain. The one on the right is a porn-addicted brain.
That's
And on the left
literally
is a
insane.
normal brain.
I
And
can't
this
see
is
anything.
from.
Maybe they can. I can't see anything
Oh,
though.
I'm sorry. That went out to my YouTube, not to you. But it's Fight the New Drug. That's the first result. Nature.com, not a faith-based website. Independent.co.uk, not faith-based. There's actually no faith-based resources on the front page of Google when you look up porn addiction.
What is
Now,
this
I'm not
here?
saying that there aren't a lot of faith-based resources that do speak out against it. There certainly are. But to say, look, you don't have to have a faith-based point of view to prove that pornography is or can be an addiction.
Well, technically, then you don't have to. You can say anything is an addiction at that point. Am I right? You could say petting your dog is an addiction because it
Sure.
provides you with dopamine.
Sure. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a dopamine addiction.
Well, so then
Yeah.
then at the end of the day, anything can be an addiction, and at that point, it's literally sex, like guilt and shame that is surrounded porn addiction. It's not the actual addiction that's bothersome. It's the fact that people have a problem with with themselves sexually.
Yeah. So possibly. All right. So would you? I mean, look, I'm not trying to change your mind. I am just. If I could just ask you, would you consider that maybe this does have some negative impacts on people?
I at the end of the day, I've literally been going back and forth with people about this. Is not a new conversation for me. This has been the past
I know,
6
and it's not for
years
me
of
either.
my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
got
I
it.
think I think the both of us are very like stuck in our ways, and that's fine. That means that you're very, strong about what you believe, and that's fine. But I am as well, and I wouldn't be doing a job that I thought harmed people. I think that people need to be more open-minded about pornography and their own sexuality, and that's just
But
my
here,
opinion on
again,
it.
Freya, I'm just pointing you to the evidence, the overwhelming evidence you have right here in this chat. People are saying it hurts them.
But I'm not just going to believe a bunch of people on the internet. Like, I'm just simply not going to do
Nor
that.
should you. But what the question then is, what would it take for you to believe? I mean,
I
look, the interview I referred to earlier, Joshua Broom, who did over 1,000 porn videos, the title of that interview, which has millions of views on YouTube, is called "She Hung Herself in a Park," because he specifically talks about how he lost so many
okay.
of his friends to suicide who are in the porn industry.
First of all, you're
And this was
speaking
a
about
guy.
August Ames. You're
No, I'm
speaking
not.
about August Ames.
No.
Who are you speaking
I'm
about
speaking
then?
about Joshua Broom, who references many of his friends. He was the top of the top porn performer 5, 6,
Yeah,
7
but do you
years
know who
ago.
he's speaking about when he's
30
talking
of
about
his
who hung
friends.
themselves?
One of them may have been that person. I'm talking about the many friends he had who unalive themselves.
And how many
he
people in the
probably
real
would have
world
said that.
unalive themselves?
So many.
Like,
So
why
many
does
do.
everything have to tie to porn?
Well,
I don't
the
understand.
question is are these behaviors resourceful for us or unresourceful?
What? Well, which ones what are you talking about? The
Well, any
online
behavior.
books?
You could talk about pornography, you could talk about petting your dog. But it's statistically proven relationship stuffer, divorce rates go up, depression, anxiety, hopelessness goes up when people are using porn.
But also, there are also studies that prove that consuming pornography with a partner can better relationships. So you and I are clearly looking at two different statistics, my friend. Like, that's
Sure.
just the reality.
Yeah, we can argue on the validity of the studies, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I read a study one time that eating too many bananas a day was a problem. All right, well, sure.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I appreciate the chat. Thank you for.
Thank you
thanks for
so
talking.
much for having me. All
Yeah.
right. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. All right. Hey there, what's
Hello.
going on?
Nothing much. Just wanted to hop on and basically say that ever since I found me a girlfriend, I literally don't deal with going on porn anymore. It's not a necessary need. It just hurts the brain and everything. And I agree with what you're doing, and I wanted to thank you for what you are doing.
Thanks, man. Good job. How long did you watch porn for?
Oh, well, I've watched it since I was 9, but I'm not into that stuff anymore since I have found my partner, and I'm just happy for anybody, whoever is stuck on it, get out of it. It's not worth it,
Why? Why should someone get out of it?
because all it's going to do is hurt you in the long run.
Why is that?
Because if you continue to watch it, it could hurt your relationship. It could hurt so many different things. It can hurt your mind. It can hurt your relationship. It could cause somebody that you love get hurt.
Yeah. And what,
Just because
what
of
was,
watching it.
What was the turning point for you when you said you're done with this?
I found the girl that I love the most, and she is all I need. I don't need none of that bull crap in my life anymore.
Nice. How long has it been?
We've been together almost 2 months. I've quit watching it for the past 2 months, and it's the best choice that I could have taken.
Cool.
To be honest.
Cool, man. Good job. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right. See you later.
See you later.
Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
I have a very in between opinion of this.
Okay.
I don't necessarily believe it's cheating, but I do believe it's hurtful. To humans in general. I think that porn creates a very false sense of intimacy. I think porn always goes for the most extreme, which most women can't do. And I think it creates a false sense for the women more than men. Men, you don't really have to do a whole heck of a lot. You know what I mean? Like it creates a false sense of what we can do because those girls do what they're supposed to do on camera, which most women won't do. And I think that's what hurts women more than anything is men have a false sense of intimacy because they think we're supposed to do what they're seeing on the screen, and most of us won't. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily say it's cheating. I don't like it. My husband watches, he doesn't watch it anymore because we've had that conversation. I also come from a different point of view in the aspect that like I have a medical problem that hurts me to have sex. So it's very hard for me, which also makes it very hard for him, which is very shitty, and it sucks for him. But we've also worked really hard to get through that. But a lot of that time he was watching porn to get through that, and it took us sitting down and having that conversation that it creates that sense of something I won't do. I won't do what those girls do. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So why not during that time, and I'm sorry you have that condition or that difficulty with having physical intimacy. It must be tough. But I'm curious, why not just resort to masturbating instead of using porn while masturbating?
To me, it doesn't change the getting off. It's not the same. It doesn't create... You can give yourself an orgasm, men or women, but the orgasm, and my husband and I have even had that conversation, the orgasm you get with a partner who you are actually intimate with is totally different than what you get with somebody you actually give a shit about. Just like when you start having sex. When you start having sex as a teenager, it's not the same.
Okay, but I'm curious. You like say physical intimacy is off the table between you guys. Why not just have him, like, if he's going to look at something else, why not look at you? Or why not just masturbate? Why have to bring other women into it?
And we've had that conversation, and that just creates... that's a hard thing to get into. A lot of women have the hard time with sitting in that moment because we feel awkward about ourselves, because most women have their own body issues. So it's hard for us to just sit there. I think that could be a really cool thing if you could get to it. And we've done that a couple of times, but it's not... Porn is not the same as the same thing as like you're saying. If he were to just watch me and hang out with me, that's very different than watching some girl do something you're not willing to do. Does that make sense?
Well, that's the
I feel like I went in a circle there.
Well, you went in a circle and got back to the exact same question I asked you. Why not just he can look at you, or somebody in the comments
I think
made a
that comes
suggestion.
to it. You have to be in a very different standpoint of being comfortable with yourself to be able to do that. To get off in front of him. No. Not at all right now in my life. I'm not significantly overweight, but I'm overweight. I'm about 50 pounds more than I'd like to be. And I have a hard time looking at myself. And in order to get off by yourself, you have to be turned on by yourself.
Does your husband find you attractive?
Yes, absolutely. And I know that makes no sense because I should feel comfortable in that, but that's hard for women's brains don't work that way. I have to still be somewhat comfortable with myself. It's the confidence standpoint. I have to still be confident with myself to be there. And I guess I'm working on that.
Yeah,
but it's a really hard thing for any woman to do, is be comfortable with themselves. No matter how skinny, no matter how perfect you are, every woman has things they don't like about themselves.
Yeah, I got that. But because you're uncomfortable with yourself, you would rather your husband go masturbate to other women?
No, absolutely not. I'd prefer not. But I also, I think my specific issue, I feel bad that he can't always get off when he needs to. So then that's why I think I don't have a problem with porn, because I feel like every man needs to get off. Every man needs that. Like, no matter how you look at that, men need it, and they need it in a different way than women do. Most women could go their entire life without it. Do we feel better? Does the dopamine hit different? Yes. He tells me all the time, you'll be in a better mood if we just do it. And I understand that, but you have to also we can't get turned on as quickly as a man can. Yeah. So it takes a whole lot more work for us in our own head and from him to get us to that point.
is that work that you're wanting to do so you guys can build that level of intimacy?
Absolutely. And we work on it regularly. Especially
Yeah.
with my issues, we work on that often.
Yeah. Do you think him watching porn gets you guys closer to that goal or further away from it?
Further away. Because then he gets a different standpoint of, again, it comes back to women in porn do things that most women aren't comfortable with. Unless you're extremely sexual, I guess. Maybe some women would. But porn gives you a very unrealistic realization of sex. Which is why I think it sucks that it's become such a thing, because men find they have this high expectation of us and we're not willing to do that.
Well, you've said something like that. It sounds like you're not willing to do certain things. And yes, absolutely, porn definitely portrays things that are not realistic.
Especially depending on what they're looking at. If they're looking at like crazy shit, there's some crazy weird porn out there. If they're looking at that, most women won't do that. But there's a lot of it that I personally won't do. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's, it can be dangerous when we speak for all women or all men, right?
Right.
But yes, by and large, or not, I shouldn't even say by and large. Oftentimes, porn depicts things that aren't real because it is synthetic. It is fake sex. It is not real intimacy.
Right. It's literally it's like a movie. That's what they do. Yeah. They do it to turn people on. And I'm not going to lie that I have never not done it and looked at it myself to get myself turned on, but that's not realistic by any means. Even what I would look at, he's not going to do what I want all the time.
Yeah. So what's next for you guys?
Right now, it's a matter of working on my own issues. And I think there's a lot of mental stuff that I'm working through too. Like I said, it's the confidence and it's the working through and talking through it. I think that's really big. And I tell people that all the time that tell me that they have intimacy issues, is it's talking about it. Tell him what's uncomfortable and tell him what's not okay.
And do you guys
and
do
what
that?
you don't like?
Do you have those
We
conversations?
Do. Yeah. We do. Not as often as I think we should. And that's partly my own fault. Like I have a hard time with him making sexual jokes sometimes, like when I'm not feeling good, especially like that time of the month. I don't want to talk about it because that's when it hurts the most, and I'm frustrated and I don't feel good and my hormones are out of whack and I don't want to talk about it. And then he makes sexual jokes and it makes me feel unwanted. It makes me feel like I'm a sex toy, not I'm his wife. Yep. We've been together for 11 years, so this is something we have dealt with. And unfortunately for him, over the last 11 years, it has continuously gotten worse for me. But we have tried really hard to make that conversation open. And that's a hard thing. That's an intimate conversation. That's a whole different intimate conversation. To talk about what you do like and what you don't like in the bedroom, to talk about it without actually having sex is so big, even for men. That's hard to have that conversation because you talk about sex and men get turned on. You don't have to be talking about anything that's actual sexual. Men get turned on by that.
I think for some couples it's hard. For others it's not. But I mean, have the conversation. Like in what context can you have the conversation where you guys can actually make progress? I think that's that's like true intimacy.
Yeah, and I try really hard to make sure that I express that I'm not mad at him. I'm just not feeling it. And that's taken this long to get to a point where I can say, I just don't feel it. I'm just not in the mood. You need to leave me alone for a minute. And that really sucks for him because that means for at least a week out of the month, I don't want anything to do with sex. And sometimes it lasts longer than that. And for a long time, we were going a month or 2 months of zero intimacy. And that was really hard for him. And that sucked, and it made me feel terrible, but I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, there's tools and resources out there to deal with that. And if you're wanting it to be different, you can, even with your medical stuff, there's other possibilities, to stay intimately connected while not bringing other people into it on the screen.
Right. No, I absolutely understand that. And like I said, we've looked into those and we've tried to keep that conversation open, and it's hard because then the conversation closes because then all of a sudden I have a week of where like I'm into it and I'm ready. And then the conversation closes because it's like, okay, well, I'm good. Like he's got a couple weeks where he's all right. And then we get to a point where it's been too long and now he's bothering me and now I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
And part of it is I'm frustrated because I haven't had sex. It comes down to it really does, sex does release something that you can't explain.
Well, it comes down to communication. Like, what are you guys going to do with this? Right? Because,
right.
I mean, you're going to have to figure out how to be able to have these uncomfortable conversations so that you guys can come to an agreement on what you guys are wanting.
Mm-hmm. And that uncomfortable conversation brings so much more, like that. It's a hard, it's anything, they say that in every book you read. Uncomfortable is what brings you further. You grow from the uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And it sucks, and it's really hard to have that conversation. But the more you do, the more you'll feel better about yourself.
Well, absolutely. What's harder, not having the conversation or having the conversation?
Not having a conversation. Now that I've had the conversation, absolutely. It's you don't think of it that way until you've actually had the conversation. And for the good first 5 years of our relationship, there was no conversation. I was just in pain, and I couldn't express that to him.
There's a really good. She's like a sex therapist on Instagram. What is her name? She has a very similar story where she's like, basically the first year of marriage or a couple of years, it was awful, painful. She hated everything about it. Dr. Celeste Holbrook. Look her up.
Okay.
And go read her whole story. In fact, if you want to DM me when you get off here on TikTok, I'll send you the Instagram link.
Yeah, absolutely. So I talk about periods and endometriosis, which is the medical issue that I have. I talk about that on TikTok. I've had a really hard time talking about the intimacy side of it because it's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words, especially in video format, And so I've worked really hard on opening up more about that in the public because I know it's something that's huge for a lot of women. And like you said,
what's your experience? She said she has that as well.
Yeah.
Have you been able to work through that, Shy Butterfly? If you're willing to share.
I know tons of women who have that issue, and it's become, especially now that I'm that much more open on social media, I have so many more people that reach out to me. I'm like, I know I need to express that. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to do so.
Yeah. Okay, she said you can message her if you want to send her a message.
Yeah, I'll follow her right now. Yeah. Shoot me a message so I can talk to you because I got to go to bed. But I followed you.
See me too?
No, her. Shy Butterfly.
And then
we'll talk about it some more for sure. I love talking about
it. And I'll send you this Instagram link.
Okay, awesome. Okay. I really appreciate it. Thank you for this talk. It was awesome.
Yeah, nice chatting. See you. All right, Psychic Sally Cudmore. She gave me 2 gifts or more, so now she's on here. Hey there, what's going on? Hello.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Hi. I'm good, thank you. What an interesting topic. Do you know what? I would just want to answer the question, is porn cheating? Yes, it is. Basically, how I see it, say, for instance, I'm going to use it in this scenario. Say, for instance, your husband goes to visit a prostitute. That's cheating, right? He visits a prostitute for sex. But then say he goes to that prostitute, but they didn't touch each other, but he's in the room masturbating, he's getting sexual pleasure and enjoying another woman's body. That is also cheating, although he hasn't touched that woman. Also, so say he didn't visit the prostitute, but he sort of interacted with her online, video image. So is that no longer breaking your marriage vows? It's still cheating. Say, for instance, the prostitute that recorded a video of herself and he paid for that video. That is still being unfaithful. It doesn't matter how you look at it. He is actually looking for sexual pleasure from another woman regarding... And do you know what's so upsetting is I've read some of the comments here and how it's breaking marriages and how women are so upset by it. Obviously, there's something wrong with the partnership in the beginning, because I don't feel that if you're truly in love and you've got respect for somebody, you would actually do that. Does that make sense?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Honestly, it's like having a digital prostitute. I know that
Yeah,
sounds awful, but it is. It's
that's what it is.
if you're engrossed in porn, it's defrauding the relationship that should be exclusive for the two of you.
Yep. That's what many people believe, but some don't.
Well, that's fine, but then the ones that don't are the ones querying their relationships and don't have that closeness and connection. I'm not saying I haven't in the past watched porn, I have. But if I'm in a relationship, a loving relationship, then I don't need to watch it. I've got everything there. And if there's something, obviously there's something lacking, if I'm not getting satisfied in that relationship and having to watch porn, there's obviously something lacking with it, and you should be looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's usually something missing. When people, they don't think that they have an issue, right? You hear many of the people here, and they're like, "Oh no, it's not a problem. Everything in our relationship is fine."
Yeah, of course.
Well, you just run that one out a few years or decades, and something will happen. Something will happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a shame. And I felt sorry for the previous woman, who, do you know, the woman that actually works in this, she was so ignorant, sorry. She didn't want to, I don't know if I should say that about your other listeners, but she was so ignorant. She didn't look at the bigger picture. All she's worried about is making money. Any woman could do porn, sorry. There's the elderly that are doing porn nowadays, there's people who are into that stuff. Any woman can open her legs and do porn. It's an easy, sleazy money. But if you haven't got a brain, I'm sorry, and you haven't got any other experience in doing anything else, and of course that's what you're going to go for. And I feel that that is an addiction, a money addiction. I personally feel that I wouldn't want some dirty old man looking at my body. I personally would find it really degrading. A man sitting there with a snotty nose and I don't know, I couldn't deal with it. But that's me personally, anyway.
The snotty nose is just the nail in the coffin, right? And he has a snotty
Exactly. I
nose.
had to put that in. He has to have a snotty nose.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing.
No, thank you. And you're doing great. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, appreciate it. Bye bye.
Take care.
Man, she makes my job easy. Thank you. Someone on Twitch chatted. I'm 37 from Iowa and I crank all the time, and my wife and I have a lovely relationship. Congratulations, man. Hey there, Jessica. What's going on?
Hey, okay, so I have kind of a little different story and view from this. I don't, as far as your question is porn cheating, I think that's kind of a personal thing you have to decide. Like, as a couple, we all decide our boundaries, right? And if that works for you and that fits in your realm, then that's up to you. I'm actually the wife of a porn addict, so I never felt like, when this all came to fruition, I never felt like I had been cheated on. I felt betrayed for other reasons, but I didn't feel as if, I guess, that I wasn't wanted or degraded in any way. I guess because I understood the addiction part of it, right? Like, it was so much more and it wasn't about me. So I think I just have a different view there. But my story is hard, and I stand strongly against porn, because what started out as a porn addiction for my husband amplified, like any other addiction. Like, we need something else to get the high, right? Like, it has to increase and increase. So for a bazillion years, he had a porn addiction I knew nothing about until the police showed up at my door one day, and he was arrested for possession of CP. So he took his life 7.5 months after that, and that's kind of where we are now. And I know people think it won't happen to me, like I just enjoy watching it, this and that, but it is a slippery slope that people just really have no idea. Just kind of like that first hit that you try, you think it'll end there, and then, years later you're on the streets.
Yeah. Wow, Jessica, thank you for sharing. I am sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
That must be so tough. How long ago has it been?
It'll be 2 years in September.
Wow. Do you guys have kids? Or
We do. We have 4 kids.
4 kids. Wow.
So, they've lived that out loud. It was very public because I worked in ministry at the time. We had foster children in our home, like pretty prominent in the community. And that went far and wide. And I mean, it has destroyed my entire life in every single way. And so I think that's where I'm just so adamant that people see the addiction aspect of it, that shift in the brain and all of that. And we can go back and look at his childhood and things that probably spawned that. But, you know, as an adult, we're responsible, right, for healing our childhood traumas and taking care of those things. And he didn't do that. And he didn't ask for help. We were a couple that when we first met, we would watch porn together. And we started following Jesus. And I was like, hey, I'm giving that up. He said he was too. And honestly, someone asked me earlier, like, what were the signs of knowing he was a porn addict? Well, I never knew. I didn't know until the police came, because the traditional signs of, like, not interested in sex and, you know, all those things they tell you to look for, right? Like, those weren't there. We had an amazing sex life. We communicated about things. We had a great marriage, like, picture perfect from what it appeared until it wasn't. And so I don't think you can always know. Now, in hindsight, I can look back and I can see, like, things that drove me crazy about him, how he was, like, apathetic all the time and things like that. Like, I can see those traits, but those would have never stuck out to me, that he had an addiction that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So,
they don't,
I mean,
they don't necessarily correlate to that.
right. So, I mean, I don't have advice for people as far as how to pinpoint it if it's not blaringly obvious.
Yeah. How are you doing? How have you been doing in the last couple of years?
Well, okay. The first year after he died, I was still in a lot of shock. Like, a lot of things had happened, obviously. The second year has been much harder. Just, there's this part of navigating this person that you knew, and I think this is true for all betrayal trauma. So when I say this, it's not just because my husband's dead. There's this person that you knew and loved, and then there's this person you found out for them to be, right? And you have to navigate that nuance of the both and. Like, he is still the person I knew and loved, just as much as he's the person that had this horrible addiction that he let spiral into something super disgusting and awful. And figuring out how to process that is just a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, both and. Two things can be true.
Right.
You know, even forgiveness after, you know, he's gone is a continuous act, I would imagine.
Yes, and I think I had the gift in the fact. Sorry, my bug zapper's going crazy out here. I had the gift in the fact that we had that 7.5 months. Like, after the police came to my house, there was a good portion of time before he took his life that we got to have some of those conversations, and he pursued healing, and that he went to counseling. Like, he truly wanted to get help, but he felt too much shame to get help.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing. Our response matters so much when all of that's said and done. And a lot of people, I was faulted a lot by people for not walking away in that. And had he not been truly, like, doing the work, I might have had a different response. But a lot of that is tied back to my personal spiritual beliefs and what was right for our family, or what I felt was right. So I think you can recover from those things. And I'm sorry that he felt like that was the only way out. I mean, I hate that, obviously. But I just encourage people to take it seriously. Like, don't just blow it off if your husband's watching porn or whatever, because I probably would have been someone who blew it off. Even if I would have just found out he was watching regular porn, like, I probably would have been like, dude, okay, whatever. Like, let's not, you know, like, we would have dealt with that, but I would not have taken it as seriously because I didn't understand the addiction piece to that.
Yeah. Well, any situation is redeemable.
Yeah. God is good like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. Oh man, how are your kids doing?
You know, it varies. They miss their dad. They love their dad. I mean, he was an amazing, super involved father. So that's obviously really hard. They miss him, but they also struggle with that same thing. The older ones, I mean, they're 20, 20, 14, and 9 at this point. So the 3 older ones who know the ins and outs, they struggle with hating that part of him and missing and loving their dad.
Yeah, totally.
We go to a lot of counseling around here.
It sounds like it, and I'm glad you do. I'm glad. That's that's something that's got to be worked through. The grief that you're experiencing, or I imagine you go through different waves of grief over the years, and you gotta work that stuff out.
For sure. And I think the other thing it's not, people don't talk about this, right? Because it's super shameful. And I just decided early on I wasn't going to carry his shame. Those weren't my actions. I'm not going to carry that, right? But since this has happened, I've gotten the opportunity to meet a lot of people who've walked in our same shoes. And there's really no resources for the spouse in this situation, or the partner or whatever. And so I'm kind of on a mission to like make that different for people, because I think even just in this aspect of people finding out that their husbands are porn addicts, like that D-Day of finding out about all this stuff is, it's devastating, right? And then who do you turn to? Because you don't really want to call your parents and be like, oh my gosh, I mean, or your best friend. Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
To some
I
extent.
agree. So if you want to chat, I'd be happy to. I have resources for women, and I'd like to hear what you're doing, the kind of things you're doing, and maybe there's an opportunity to do something together. I have groups that I do for women, betrayal trauma support groups.
Oh yeah, I'd love
which are
that.
awesome.
Yeah, shoot me a message for sure.
Can you shoot me a message? Because I
I
can't
can.
do it while I'm on live. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I have other women I work with who help facilitate my groups as well. And yeah, it's a big need. Well, Jessica, thank you for sharing. I hear so much strength in your voice. Even going through these tough times, to have 4 kids and go through that, and to live in the both and of, yeah, I hate this, and I still did love him. I mean, that is tough, and good for you for being in that story, the story of your life.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Porn use always escalates. Porn use always escalates. Andrea Eats. No? You've been waiting a while, Andrea.
Hello.
Hello, what's going on?
Hi. So I just recently got out of a 7-year relationship. I had 2 babies within the past 2 years, and he became physically abusive and emotionally abusive. And then he wound up telling me that he was addicted to porn again, and I just started seeing more of the signs now. But my question is, how or what would you give advice to somebody, a woman, like my insecurities now are really, really bad. So that's just what I was wondering, like, what advice do you give to the woman, that feels that betrayal?
Yeah, well, first of all, this problem has nothing to do with you. He is not doing or wasn't doing what he did because of anything to do with you, how you look, what's inside of you, what is outside of you, anything that you did. Nothing about you caused this. So knowing that that is true will help you tremendously. And then acknowledging, like, this is such a painful experience. Like, your whole world is shattered when you discover this. Yeah.
I just feel like after I had my kids, like, he would look at me in disgust. And so, I knew that I had gained weight and everything, but after I knew that he had been addicted to porn, I can't look at myself in the mirror anymore. And I'm trying to be strong for my kids, but I feel like I'm getting an eating disorder, and it's just been really hard.
Yeah. And did you say you're still with him?
No, I left him about 2 months ago.
Okay, got it. How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
Okay. Yeah, well, so what you're experiencing is betrayal trauma. the trauma that somebody experiences after a betrayal, which is very similar to PTSD. The many of the symptoms and indicators are exactly the same. And again, I just go back to it has nothing to do with you or how you look. Who else in your life knows what you're struggling with?
No one at the moment.
Okay. So one of the components of this is community. Having people, having community that you can share what's going on authentically. They don't need to know everything, but you got to have people who can support you through this.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Have you
Thank you.
have you thought of telling anybody? Is there anybody who stands out to you that you just want to go to in this time?
I haven't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. Kid
I might
bumped their
have to
head,
let
didn't
you
they?
go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
It sounded like a kid
Thank
rolled
you.
off the bed or something. Come back on here if you want to, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, I don't know what happened, but I heard a thump and a cry, which is parent language for 5 little monkeys on the bed, and then one rolled off and bumped their head. Christina, I'm sorry. I hope you come back on here. I can point you to other resources as well. All right. Somebody just texted me. How does somebody have my phone number?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. What's up?
Oh, nothing much, man. Do I think that porn is cheating? Most definitely. Especially if you're in a serious relationship, married or anything in that matter. I definitely do think it's cheating, regardless. Even the fact that I was in a relationship for almost 11 months, and I've never watched porn while I was in a relationship or anywhere in that time area, I should say. But I'm never watching it at all. I mean, it's just disgusting to me, and it's just bad for you regardless. So pretty much what I'm trying to get at, I was liking some relationship posts on TikTok and stuff, and it'll be saying if I'm driving down a back road and you just remind yourself that she's in your passenger seat and just stuff like that just pop up. So and it has a background of a woman on it. So my question is that really cheating if you like that on TikTok?
Sorry, I was responding to a message. Could you summarize that again for me? I heard most of what you were saying, but I want to make sure I got it right.
So sorry about that. I'm kind of shy just talking.
Yeah.
But say if you're just liking a relationship post, of it having a quote on it, and it has a woman on the background, is that cheating?
Like a relationship post, like something that's intended to help relationships?
Yeah. It just reminds yourself of how good your relationship is going and stuff like that, and it just has a woman in the background. And
does the woman have clothes on?
Yes. Regardless, whatever is on TikTok, I know there can be some weird things that can pop up, but regardless, I don't like any of the stuff that pops up that is women wise,
Yeah. Well, why are you asking this question?
So what I'm trying to get at is she broke up with me due to the stuff popping up on TikTok. And she said that I am cheating because of that. So it was very hard for me, for her, breaking up with me at the time. And
yeah, well, it sounds to me like your intent was not to be lusting after somebody else. That's what it sounds to me.
Right.
Okay. Now, it
So.
also doesn't sound like that image was erotic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and here's the thing is, could there have been a conversation about it? Sure. But the fact that she was just like, eh? And again, I don't know the whole story, but I mean, is it cheat? Your question is that cheating? I wouldn't say so. But
Okay.
there's got to be more context here. I'm not saying that you're withholding anything, but there's got to be just more context in the dynamic of the relationship.
Right. Just yeah. That's just really all I've got. But it's just stuff like that. It just really just gets to my head, and it just doesn't even sound right to me that uh, me getting called a cheater just for that stuff being popped up. Um, like I've never liked that type of stuff or just anything. I've never watched porn during a relationship or before the relationship even started. It's just stuff like that. So,
Yeah. All right. So let's say that's true. I mean, I
okay.
believe you. I have no reason not to believe you. All right. But there's always more to the story. Let's just go with only the information that you're giving here. In what ways do you think your contributions to the relationship could have caused her to take the action that she took?
Repeat that again. Sorry.
Yeah. In what ways do you think that your contributions to the relationship could have caused her to take the action that she took?
Uh, I just really have just no idea, to be honest.
Okay. Maybe there's
It's-
nothing. I mean, I'm just, like there's always more to the story, right?
yeah,
So like
regardless.
some people in the chat are saying she's insecure or insecure. I mean, is she? Maybe, I don't know, right? That could be a
Right.
conclusion.
Right.
You know,
And she did bring up like she was like, well, this could be just the or right person, wrong time. And I'm just like, well, what do you really want to do? Do you just want to just call me a cheater over uh, me just liking a relationship quote on TikTok, or just what's going on? And she's like, well, you just gotta just change your ways and stuff like that, and just quit just liking quotes on TikTok and stuff. So
how many times after she said that did you continue liking the quotes?
no, I actually just deleted TikTok.
You did, and then she just left you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't. I mean, look, this is a pretty limited view of the entire relationship. How long were you guys together?
For right at 11 months.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, there's something else going on, in my opinion. Like there's something else going on. Maybe she's withholding something for you, or maybe she was feeling a certain way for the whole relationship, and she just needed some sort of evidence to say I'm out. But she didn't have anything until that. But yeah, something, and it's not just me. The whole chat saying the math ain't mathin'. And again, I'm not suggesting you're misrepresenting everything, but
Yeah.
there's got to be more here.
Right. But we've been probably broken up for about 3 or 4 months, and she's already got a new boyfriend. So
Yeah. Well, there's your answer.
yeah. So that's pretty much the only thing I got. So I don't really want to. It's actually my first live ever being on here, so I'm kind of just nervous. So
No problem, man. Well, thanks for sharing.
all right, thank you.
All right, see you, man.
Yeah.
My ears get so sweaty sometimes. Can we just for like those of you who are here frequently, can we just acknowledge how different every one of my lives are? The tone, the type of guests, like it's fascinating to me. I love TikTok. It's great. It is wild. This has been a good one. Much more calm in nature. I was a little feisty when I got on. There's a lot of people waiting. So there's 13 people waiting. I'll just say now at this point, if you want to get on here, give me a gift or gifts that will catch my attention so I can bring you on sooner rather than later. Not everyone's going to get on here tonight. But if you want to get on, just give me some gifts so it catches my attention. Crystal,
Hey.
Mac, hi there. How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. What's up?
This has been actually a really great session. I've never been on your live before. And I kind of thought I was alone in the world.
Did you follow me?
I did.
All right, great.
I
You're
did.
not alone.
So my story's kind of weird. I was
They're all
raised
weird.
to
They're all weird,
believe that.
Crystal. Welcome.
Yeah. So I was raised to believe that porn was good. My children's father got with me when I was 12 and he was 21. And got us to make videos together and show his friends and stuff.
Hold on. Your children's father did what when you were 12 and he was 21?
My children's father raised me, and he is my uncle, and he raised me into porn or to make porn with him when I was a child. And we ended up having 2 children.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting story.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, ask away.
Well, I feel like I need to diagram this out. Your uncle, was there abuse involved?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then was there? Oh yeah. All right. Keep going.
But he got with me when I was so young. He was more like he was my step uncle. But when my mother passed away, he raised me, and I basically raised myself. But when I became 14, he started injecting drugs in me, and actually, anyway, so I am now 10 years sober. But during all that, I was raised to think that it was okay and that it wasn't a problem. But once I became 18, he preferred to just watch the porn and not me have any contact with me at all. And so my whole situation's crazy, and I'm blessed now that I found somebody that prefers me, and only me. And I know my situation's crazy. And
so who are you with current now?
I have been with him for 3 years. He's my fiance.
Person? Okay.
Yes.
And what happened to the step uncle?
Unfortunately, he still has rights to my children, and nothing happened to him because I, at the time, had got sober. And when I got 18, of the age that we could actually be together and it not be illegal, he started beating me every day. And for a year, I was chained into a bed in a bedroom, padlocked, and he would inject me with drugs, and take videos, pictures of me. It was crazy. And so I had to go to treatment, because if anybody's injected with anything for a long amount of time, you're going to be addicted to it. You know what I mean? And so I did the year of treatment, and I got my kids back, and I ended up buying my house. But because of, I guess the doctors say, the trauma that I went through, I have drug-induced lupus, and now I have a rare disease called sternal osteomyelitis, where the disease is eating my chest. But anyway, so this guy that came into my life unexpectedly knew everything that had happened, and I told him that I had a problem and intimacy issues. I didn't even want nobody to look at me without my clothes on, because I'd been hurt so bad. And he's like, no, I don't want to look at porn or anything. I just want you. he's very sweet with me. I mean, he took care of me every time I've been in the hospital and bathed me. I mean, I'm blessed, thank God. But yeah, I mean, I think it is evil, and it can be very evil.
Yeah. Wow. You seem like you're talking about this story from a place where you've done a lot of work, and
Yeah.
which is great. And I'm curious, like, were the police involved? Like, how old are you currently? Like, could you fill us in a
I am
little bit on that?
34 now. I have been away from him for 10 years, and he has finally, like, we went back to court because I wanted child support, but my sister is my lawyer, and the law is, which is really messed up because I feel like he should be under the jail cell, right? But because I don't want to get on the stand, because if you go on a stand, they're going to tear you apart. And I just feel like, regardless, everybody, nobody stood up for me as a child, and that is what happened. There was a grown man living in the house with me. Nobody protected me. And so I prevent my daughter from going over there, but my son does not want me to keep him from him, if that makes, I don't know. So by law, I have to send my son over there. And apparently the statute of limitations has passed, because I think it's like 6 or 7 years, which is insane to me. But yeah, I am scared for my daughter.
How old were you when you had your first child?
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you sought help from the state, or a social worker, or any of those types of agencies?
I've been in therapy this whole time. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean like legally, like from
okay. So
you're talking about statute of limitations. Like, have you consulted?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you want to do either, but have you consulted an attorney, or
Well,
anybody?
my sister is my lawyer, and she said unless I want to get up on the stand and talk about it, which now I finally am at a place where I can. I mean, like right now I'm kind of shaking about it, because I mean I'm just telling you a rough draft of what happened, but so to get up on the stand and go through that, and they would pick me apart, and because that's what happens. And I don't know if I could mentally hold it together. I know that sounds bad. So unless I do that, he has rights. And I don't understand. I think that I just don't get it. But I mean, I'm standing here shaking talking about it. But I feel like he shouldn't have rights. But it's the law. In 7 years, I think it's 7 years, my sister said, and now it's been 12. Maybe it's been 12 years, because I left him when I was 24, and I'm 34.
Well, there's the law, and I'm not a lawyer. Consult your attorney, and maybe consult another attorney, like get some other opinions. There's the law, and then there's what can actually happen. Like,
so,
yeah. What's occurring for you right now?
For me?
Yeah.
I'm finally angry about it, I guess. I've lived in dissociation from it or whatever. But my fiance now, he tells me, he's like, I don't know, for you to be the kind, most loving, compassionate person, to come out of the life that you came out of, to be who you are. He's like, that's why I'm in love with you. It's because you have the most beautiful, happiest heart. And he's like, I promise I won't hurt you as long as you don't cheat on me, because he was cheated on really bad. And so we don't even yell at each other, and he kisses me from head to toe. And I mean, I didn't think that you could be loved like this, and the intimacy we have together. I mean, he makes me feel absolutely beautiful, where I was told I look like a dog, a pig, and beat for gaining weight. So it's crazy. and he loved to just sit there. Huh?
You said you're feeling angry. What could you put more words to
I'm
that?
just angry that like people that do that, there should be justice for people like me, and that I don't talk about it in front of my children, and I don't want them to know that they came out of that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm trying to protect them, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's their dad, and they're always.
What do you think would offer them the most protection?
I've been trying to keep them from them. That's the best I can do. Every time since I've been sick and stuff, he would tell them that I was making it up. I was hospitalized 8 times last year with sepsis, and I ended up getting have a bone infection where my sternum's deteriorating, and from the lupus, and the lupus is caused from him, and or it was triggered from him. That's what the doctor said, and so he didn't really come and get them for the past 2-3 years, but before then, yeah, he was getting them. So that is like my biggest fear, that somebody is going to get my little girl and hurt her like I was hurt. So yeah, it's.
And you're sending this little girl to that man's house?
I haven't until last weekend because the court said I have to.
And does the court know about all this history?
No.
Until you take the stand, they won't know it.
Correct.
Okay. Well, Crystal, I try not to give advice. I try to ask questions.
No.
And I'm not going to give
okay.
advice. However, what I would offer is, if you're wanting something to be different here, which it sounds like you do, are there other avenues that you can continue to push to try to find that justice that you're wanting?
Yeah, I think finally I'm getting, where I'm healthy enough and strong enough to be able to do it. I've had lupus for the past 8 years, and so I haven't been able to, and trying to mentally, I guess, overcome it, because I've been in some pretty strong therapy. And he really hasn't wanted the kids until I've had to force him to pay the child support, if that makes sense. Like, he hasn't had anything to do with them up until my sister took him to court to pay. And they're wanting to see their dad. They don't understand why I'm being like this.
Yeah.
They're thinking I'm the main one.
Well, the body keeps the score. Your kids are going to have this in them, in my estimation. Whether or not they know exactly what happened or not. And so,
right, my son is 15 questions. And my daughter's 11.
Yeah.
Someone asked.
And you were 12 when this person started doing stuff to you?
Yes.
Well, the chat is giving a lot of advice and
yeah,
opinions.
It's a lot.
Yeah, well, and look, all I'm seeing is droves of possibility. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that I could do anything. I was just told that if I didn't get on the stand, and then it's been past that time, so I just didn't fight it, and I'm just sitting here all the time scared to death. And it's not right that he's out in the free world. What if he does it to somebody else? Because he sure didn't care to do it to me, and that is terrifying.
Well, that's a question that we all want to know the answer to, because we don't want that to happen either.
It is scary.
And it would be a huge act of courage for you to go and stand up against this person, even with people on your side. I got that, right? This is the story of your life.
Yeah.
Like, since an age where you really had no choice to make decisions, you've been groomed and
Right.
abused physically, mentally, sexually.
Yep. Yeah, and it took a long time. I mean, he did have to, like, I couldn't even, I forget what it was. He wanted to come to the game of my son's, and I wouldn't let him even come to a game for like 4 years because I was scared to be in his presence. I mean, it's hard for when, that person raised you and they get in your head. I mean, and I'm better now and I'm stronger. I just don't know what to do at this point. Because I was told that there's nothing I can do. I just have to.
Well, who told you that?
Deal with it.
Your sister?
My lawyer, my sister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
I'm in Alabama.
Are you in Alabama?
Yeah.
Okay. Was your sister abused by him as well?
No, my sister is my sister's about 30 years older than me. And so she feels some kind of guilt because she never came in and protected me because everybody died in my family and my dad ended up dying. But I mean, I was left alone with this man my whole life. And so, had lost my mother tragically and so he groomed me thinking, hey, take this, it'll make you feel better. And then all of a sudden I'll be asleep and he'll inject me with meth just to see if I would pass away. I mean, I'll never forget that, him sitting in the floor just laughing as hard as he could. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was running from one end of the room to the other, pouring sweat, not knowing what happened. And he had stuck it in my neck. And he was like, I just wanted to see if you would die. I mean, I lived like that for a very, very long time. And so apparently, he's doing great. He just inherited all this money and this house. And he comes from this small town where his family's a big deal. And it's just insane to me that they're protecting him. Because his family knew what he was doing.
Yeah, well, Crystal, look, how can you protect the kids? How can you protect yourself? And, there's got to be, again, I'm not a lawyer, consult a lawyer, a good lawyer, but there's got to be other possibilities here.
Yeah.
I've watched enough good law shows to know that there's always a way around things.
Right. I mean, this is pretty crazy. I know. And so luckily, I haven't had any contact with him in a very, very long time. The one time he did try to come and get the kids, my fiance told him to get off the property. He wasn't allowed. So that's a stand up. He told him he wanted to. He's like, get off here. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I know that was a lot, but
I hope you find some good support and just what is worth fighting for here.
Yeah.
How can
I just know that it can lead to evil things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for sharing.
Anyway, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's bring a dude on. Hey there, what's going on? Hello. Hello. Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, what's up?
I just wanted to come on and talk on what your live is about, is porn cheating. I personally think so.
Okay. Tell me more.
I was in a marriage where I got married to someone that I was madly in love with, and I thought that he was faithful to me. And then the minute we got married, it was all about porn, and I found out he had an addiction to it, and it was like I was no longer his wife. I was some kind of property, and he wanted everything but me. And if people want to believe that it's not cheating, then I don't know what else is.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. How long did you experience that?
I was married to him for almost 2.5 years because I tried to do the right thing. We got married young, and we met in college, and we went to the same church, and we did everything right, and we went through premarital counseling. And our pastor even asked, how do you feel about pornography? Is that something that's in your life? And he lied, and he said no, and I believed him. And the minute we got married, it was like flip the switch, and this is who I am, and this is what I do. And it was like I wasn't married to someone. We actually never had intimacy because he wanted to have pornography be a big part of it, and that was not something that I was raised with, and that was not something that was supposed to be part of our relationship, as what I thought. And then from pornography, it went on to him sleeping around with hookers and going to strip clubs, and then I just was this person in the background, and it was very hurtful to me because I was this new bride, and I thought I married the man of my dreams, and I realized that he had an addiction that he hid from me the entire time, is what I believe. I think he probably had that addiction before. He just hid it from me, and then now that we were married, he chose religious abuse and said, you are my property, and you will do what I say. And I was to be traded amongst his friends and to do what he said was okay to do, and I completely went against it, and I never agreed to any of it. And I tried everything I could do and went through counseling and tried to make our marriage work, but making our marriage work was me being his property and being traded and being sexually exploited, and that was not what I agreed to in our marriage. So I believe that pornography is cheating. He stole from me what I wanted.
Yeah. Wow.
And what I wanted was a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I never got that. And then he was just like, you will bear my children. And I was like, no, I will not. I will not bring a child into this kind of dysfunction. And I tried to do everything I could, but it never changed. And he just kept cheating on me. He kept going outside of the marriage, and ultimately he ended up leaving me, and I have had to deal with that. And so I believe that pornography is cheating 100%.
Mm-hmm. Wow, thanks for sharing that. That there's like all sorts of trauma. Jeez. Oh, how long has it been since you guys separated?
We were married in 2006, and we were divorced by the end of 2009. And he moved on with his life, and he moved on with his life and married someone else that I think probably is is just turning a blind eye or doesn't know what he's up to. I'm not really sure, but it was very damaging for me. I went through counseling, and I know it's not my fault at all. As a young bride, I felt like it was. Like, what did I do wrong? What am I not offering my husband? But I realized that that's not what it was, and I'm thankful to have a new start. But unfortunately, I really have not met anyone since then. It's just been, one tragic situation since.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of trauma you dealt with there. Do you even? I'm not suggesting you should be there. I'm just curious. Like, do you think that you're open to the possibility of being able to have a real, healthy romantic relationship after that?
I definitely believe so. I went through a lot of counseling afterwards to help process through what I went through, because that's obviously not a normal situation. And I've tried dating, and it just hasn't really worked since then. And it's just been kind of unfortunate. And I grew up in a family that, you know, my grandparents got married really young and they had a family and they stayed together their entire lives. And until my grandfather passed away, my grandmother's still, you know, by herself, and she had 8 kids. And not that I want 8 kids, but I wanted that for myself. I wanted to have a family and to be with somebody the rest of my life. And I feel like I was robbed of that. And since that situation and having to explain that to someone in the future and say, hey, I was married before and I've been kind of persecuted because of that, and most men don't want to be with me because of it, and that's really heartbreaking because it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. Well, do you believe that's true, that most men don't want to be with you because you were married once?
I've just been told that, like, being, you know, in church and being a Christian and a believer, a lot of guys are like, oh, well, you're not a virgin, I don't want to be with you. I've been told that even up until recently, and that's really frustrating to hear because it wasn't my fault. And, you know, to not be given that kind of grace to understand that I was in a situation that I did not have any control over, and that somebody hurt and abused me is not my fault. But I just keep experiencing it over and over with men that I've dated. Is they're like, oh, I don't want to be with somebody that has been in that kind of situation, is really hard to hear. And it's frustrating for me because I deserve happiness and I deserve to be with somebody that loves me. And just because somebody chose to cheat on me and abuse me doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of love.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, churches are great places to find a bunch of hypocrites. And there's
Yeah,
always
I'm
room for
learning
another
that.
hypocrite. There's always room for more hypocrites at churches too. I mean, but sometimes people don't have an awareness that they're a hypocrite.
Yeah,
That's really sad. How old were you when you got married?
I was 20.
Okay, so you're mid-30s now, roughly.
Yeah, I just turned 38.
Yeah. Do you trust men?
I trust everyone. I always give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I'm a very nice and loving person. I'm not really sure why people don't understand that or accept that. I'm always like the nice girl that people date and they realize, like, oh, she's such a nice girl, well, I'm gonna go date this person that's easy to get into bed with. And then they go date her and then they come back to me like, oh, I'm so sorry that I didn't trust you and I want to be back with you because you're such a nice girl. And I don't want to be someone's second choice because that's what I was in my marriage. It was the second choice, and I don't ever want to be that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's painful.
It is. And I really don't look for a guy in church. I just look for someone that has the same faith as me, because even what I went through, I haven't lost my faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I want somebody that wants that kind of family dynamic with me, but it just hasn't happened.
Keep going. Try to talk through
And
your
I feel like,
emotions.
I feel like I'm getting old now. I'm 38, and I keep coming across this problem where guys are like, oh, well, you've been married before, you're damaged goods. And that's not true. And it's really hurtful to hear.
Yeah.
That almost no one wants to give me a chance because of something that a cruel, heartless man did to me.
Yeah. Well, do you believe that that's true about you?
Absolutely not. I was a good wife. I'm a good woman. And I'm such a loyal and faithful person. And it's heartbreaking to hear men say, I don't want to give you a chance because this man did this to you and now you're dirty and you're damaged goods, and that's not true.
Yeah. So,
And I heard someone say in the chat, just because you've been married before doesn't mean you're damaged goods, and I absolutely believe that. But I've heard it so many times, and even recently in the last couple of years, there was someone that was interested in me, and we talked, and after he found out I was married, he's like, I want nothing to do with you because I'm waiting for a virgin. I'm like, you're 40 years old. To believe that someone at your age or my age has no history or no past is kind of unrealistic. I mean, it's not to say that it's not true, but I've spent a lot of time working on myself, and I live a celibate lifestyle, and I spend most of my time with my family, and I keep praying and I'm waiting for the right person, but it just really hasn't happened for me.
when did you first hear something like, maintaining virginity is the highest ethic or moral?
Just growing up, that's kind of what my family said. You should always wait till you're married, and I did that, and I ended up with someone that I had after we got married. On our honeymoon, I kind of felt like this is what it's supposed to be like, because there was no chemistry there, and even on our honeymoon, he didn't want to be with me, and it was very awkward and weird, and it's strange to say, but it's been so many years now that it's kind of just the story that I tell. But that was just something I was raised with, and now I feel a little bit differently now, but I still find that with dating, most men don't want to give me the time to get to that point where I'm okay and I'm open with sharing my body with somebody, and they'll stop dating me for that reason. And it's not because I'm damaged, it's just because I want to wait till I'm ready, and no one gives me that chance.
Yeah. All right. So, can I take a risk with you here?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So again, I'm not saying I'm right, and I've asked you a couple times, about the damaged good things, if you believe that, and you've said no, and I believe you. And sometimes I notice in my life and other people's lives is we actually, our subconscious believes something to be true, and then that's what life yields for us. So I'm curious, like, is there maybe a story in there to where you have this damaged goods conversation going on, and that's the evidence of what you're getting back from the people who you're in relationship with?
Well, I don't believe that at all. So, I mean, personally, no, I don't believe that at all. And I learned that back when I was married to him, that it wasn't my fault and that there's nothing wrong within me that caused him to do what he did. However, I just keep meeting people that think, oh, you've been married for, are you going to go back to your ex-husband? I'm like, who would go back to an abusive person that cheated on me? That's nothing I would ever do. He's married now and has a child. He lives in a whole nother state. There's no way we'd ever get back together. He actually left me because I didn't want to have children with him. And I told him, I don't want to bring children into this type of dysfunction because I was raised in a very dysfunctional home, and I wouldn't bring children into that. And so he left me. We lived in another state at the time, and I came home to visit my family on Thanksgiving in 2009. And when I came home to an empty house, and everything was gone, and I never saw him again. And I got divorce papers, so there's no ever way that we would ever talk again or reconcile or anything like that. But I think there's some kind of weird stigma that religious men or Christian men think, oh, well, maybe she'll go back to him. Absolutely not. I'm so thankful to have a new start in my life and to not be a part of some kind of abuse because I was raised in that and I don't ever want that again. And I'm a very strong, independent woman, and maybe that's why men see me as an issue or a problem. But I know who I am and what I am, and there is no damaged part about me. And I spent most of my life being single and choosing to be single and just pursuing the things that I want to do because I wanted to be the best version of myself for whoever I'm going to be with. And for some reason, with everyone I come across, they're either like, I'm just not a good guy, just move on, you know, you deserve better. That's always kind of what I hear. And I'm not really sure why or if that's just a line they tell me, but you know, I just kind of think I'm getting old at this point. Like, I didn't picture myself being single at 38 with no children, especially taking care of myself and getting counseling, getting the help that I need.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the issue is, but what I'm looking for is someone that shares the same faith with me because that is important to me regardless of what happened. I still have a relationship with God, whether someone wants to say religion or not. A relationship is the most important thing to me, and that's what I have with God. And I just don't really understand why men or some men have an issue with the fact that I was married before, because that always seems to come up every single time I've dated anyone. Oh, well, you've been married before, and they always want to push the damaged goods thing, and I'm not.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one to navigate through. It's been 15 years roughly, and you're in a phase, you've been in a phase of reinventing yourself. And that's all you can do. And if you're getting the same results, maybe look at where are these places where you're getting consistent men telling you that, or men telling you that consistently.
Well, and it's not even like guys from church or anything like that. It's just in general, guys are just like, you know, you deserve someone better. And I don't know what that means. I mean, I always take people for their word. If a guy says, hey, you deserve better, okay, then thank you for telling me that. But I just find it to be strange that, I have a lot of single girlfriends with children, and they always find they're all remarried again and have a spouse and are happy. And here I am with no kids, gone through what I have been through and worked on myself to be the best version of myself. And I still can't find somebody. And it was not my fault what I went through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone said it means they're not willing to try. And I agree. It's just been kind of a hard road. I've had like one somewhat serious boyfriend since I've been married, and he was a good guy, but he was, I think, maybe too young and went to some bachelor party and cheated on me. And I just thought, I've been through that before, and I'm not gonna ever try again with someone that's cheated on me, because I tried that with my husband and it never worked. So I'm not gonna do that with a boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, keep working on yourself. I mean, that's like the best thing that we can do. And if there's somebody else out there, maybe in due time it'll happen. If that's what you're wanting. But I'm sorry that you went through all that tough situation.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's, it's part of life. You don't expect that to happen, but it did happen, and I've made the most of it. But I think at this point I'm kind of wondering, sometimes I think, God, did you forget about me? I have a lot to offer somebody, but no one wants to give me the chance. And we kind of live in a hookup culture where everyone wants to date and on the first or second date sleep together. And I'm just not that person. I want to get to know somebody, and I want to have a relationship and have, a deeper connection before I get to that point. And it just feels like no one ever wants to give me that opportunity. I'm supposed to just sleep with someone on the first date, and I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. And stick to your guns.
Oh, I have, right?
Yeah.
And I will.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. If you want to get on here sooner rather than later, give a gift. That'll do it. Be boring. Andrea Eats will be next, though. I'll take Andrea Eats and then Be Boring, and then I'm going to go to bed. Unless I get more gifts, I suppose. So just give me a second. Andrea, hold on. All right. Welcome back. Andrea Eats. How's it going?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
So, three things. I wanted to answer the question that you initially asked. Is porn cheating? No, but I will circle back around to that. But I want to say to you, Crystal, that I was essayed, not like you were, but I understand not telling anybody about it. And I think that I do think now you should still talk to somebody about it because it actually helps. And for Jennifer, I will say to her that I'm 42. I am the childless cat lady, and there's someone out there for you. Somebody is going to accept you for who you are and not want you to change. So I just want them to know that they're not alone and that there's somebody out there.
Have you
so
been on
to
here
circle
before?
back, yes, once before.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think porn is cheating. I think porn, circling back to that question, I think porn is, I mean, unless it's an addiction, and I am one who, I went to rehab, so for alcohol. So I know addiction when I see it. So if it's addiction, then yes, that's a problem. But I had an ex who liked to watch porn when he was on the road. He's traveling or whatever. That didn't bother me because he wasn't going to have sex with these women. Now, did he end up cheating on me? Yes. But that said, I mean, it wasn't like he was
Hold on.
Yep.
You're just like so confidently like he's watching porn, but he wasn't going to cheat on me. And then you followed that sentence up by saying, then he cheated on me?
Well, no, I mean, he wasn't going to cheat on me with the person he was watching porn with, that he was watching porn of, whoever it was, whatever adult film star it was.
Well, but it entrapped him into the fantasy land, which then led him to, I'm assuming, physically acting out.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He was very much a flirt anyway, so I think he was going to cheat on me regardless of whether he was watching porn or not. And I knew that ahead of time. And it was my own fault that I got heartbroken. But,
was it though? I mean,
yeah, because I stayed.
What we look at affects our desire.
Yeah.
What we look at affects our desire. If a man is spending a lot of time looking at sex with women that isn't his wife, he's going to begin desiring that.
Yes, but it was lesbian porn he was watching.
Was it
So
a
it wasn't
woman
like,
was it a woman who he had the affair with?
yes, of course it was. Excuse me, sorry.
So he
But
was
my thing is,
watching women, and then he had an affair with a woman.
yes, but
Okay.
my thing is, I know him like the back of my hand. I knew he would cheat, regardless of whether he was watching porn or not. And so I was the idiot that stayed.
Why are you blaming yourself?
Because I stayed. I mean, he and I are actually really good friends right now, but my thing is, I stayed. I knew he was going to do it, but I was just like holding out hope that he wouldn't, and then he did, and then we were done. Just his personality. I may or may not have figured that out from social media. Yeah, I just think that he was trying to be covert, but he wasn't covert. But even though I saw the signs, I stayed. And so, like I said, that's where I'm culpable for that.
You're not culpable. You're not responsible. I mean,
No, not for his cheating. No, not for his cheating at all. But I am culpable for my own heartbreak because I stayed and thought that he would change and that he wouldn't do what he eventually did. I should have left years in advance. So
why didn't you?
Again, because I was an idiot. I was like, no, I don't know. I was stupid. I was a stupid idiot. It's like, I don't know. I thought the love that I had for him would be above all, and it wasn't. So I didn't want to end it with him because I really loved what we had. But at the end of the day, I should have, because it didn't mean as much to him as it did to me. So, yeah, but I don't think that came from porn. I think he was just a born cheater. I mean, he cheated on other girlfriends, so I should have known that it was coming. So, but I don't think that had anything to do with porn, though.
What did it have to do with?
Oh, he likes shiny, sparkly things, new things that aren't like old hat.
Well, I mean, you're like so confident in saying I knew he was going to do this.
Yeah.
And then did you do anything to try to get him help or to try to get you guys help or?
Yes, I did. I tried to get us into couples counseling, and that he did not want to do. We did it like twice. He went to like couples counseling with me twice. So, and it didn't work. And I was like, yeah. I was a different person then. I've been through therapy now. I've been through rehab now. I know I can stand my ground now. I couldn't stand my ground then. I was very much a passive person then. So yeah, that's why I said I'm comfortable.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Culpable means deserving blame. So you think you deserve blame for him cheating?
No, not for him cheating, for me staying. I'm not blaming myself for him cheating. I'm blaming myself for staying, knowing that he was probably going to cheat, and he did. The heartbreak is on both of us, but I'm so culpable for the heartbreak that I endured because I stayed. I just was hanging my hat on hope.
What about taking accountability or taking responsibility as opposed to blaming? You're not wrong. It just seems like such a strong word to put on yourself for that.
Did I take responsibility, or did I make him take responsibility?
No, for you, like I'm just curious, like to blame. I don't know. It just seems like a strong word. But instead, taking
Well,
accountability for being in that situation.
yes. I mean, it takes two to tango. I should have bailed long before I did. So yeah, I do partially blame myself for that. Yeah. I mean, I knew I had feelings. I could I'm an empath, so I can feel things. And so I felt that this was going to happen, and I didn't do anything about it. I was like, no, you're just being crazy. Don't worry about it. And turns out I was right. And then I just, so he cheated, and yeah, so I still take part of the blame for that. For my heartache, not for him cheating, but for my heartache.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. Who is that person who gave me Be Boring? Did you want to come on here still? Be Boring? You got a request again. By the way, I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching, both for men dealing with porn or sex addiction and women dealing with betrayal trauma. If you are interested in joining a group, a community of people who are wanting to improve their lives by dealing with their porn addiction, sex addiction, or their betrayal trauma, consider joining one of my group coaching groups. We meet on Tuesday nights for the women's groups, and then I have 2 times for men, one on Tuesdays, one on Wednesday. It is a great community of people who are interested in improving their lives. My goal with men is not to get them to stop watching porn. It is to start living into a new vision for their life. I heard recently, we don't get over addictions. We never just leave with something behind. We replace it with something else. There can be an unhealthy representation of that, but when there's true heart change, that's when the magic happens. So if you're interested in that, I do a discovery call for right now $25, because every time I drop it down to $1, then I get a bunch of people that sign up and then they don't show up. And it is so freaking annoying. I have 3 kids. I take this stuff seriously. If you schedule a call with me, I will be there. I have never missed a call. If you schedule a call, I will be there. And trust me, I charge a lot more than $25 for 30 minutes of my time. So the discovery call is just, hey, is there a way to help out? So if you want to schedule a discovery call with me, it'll cost you $25 now instead of $25. And you can thank the people who didn't show up to my last 2 of them for that. I used to charge $50. But anyways, I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. If you're interested in that, the best place to start would be to do a discovery call, and or just join one of my groups. Look, I'll read a text message, one of the guys in my groups. I just love this. Every once in a while I'll check on somebody in my group, and especially if I feel like someone's kind of disconnecting from the group. And so I just texted one of the guys today. I said, hey man, how you doing? So I'm doing excellent this week. Things are really good. How about you? I said, oh, I'm doing good. Just want to see how you're doing. He goes, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Just being in your group has helped tremendously getting past what I've been dealing with in my life. Thanks for everything. That's why I do this. So, anyways, Be Boring. Be Boring gave a big gift. Oh, Rachel, you gave me a whole bunch of gifts. Now I got to bring it on too.
I know, I feel bad because I feel like they trumped my gift.
That's right. Yeah, what's up?
I guess, want to start with saying, everyone in the comments, I'm going to have to purposely not look while I have this conversation because I'll get sidetracked. So just know I'm not ignoring you. I'll respond later. But
real quick, Crystal, I see you that you requested. I'll bring you back on before I get off, okay? I'd like to hear what's going on for you, Crystal. Okay, go ahead, Be Boring. What's your name? Can you tell me your name?
Yeah, it's Bridget.
Bridget, okay.
Yeah.
All right, what's
Bridget.
up?
So I guess my question, I'd like to give a little backstory and then get to my question. So I dated a guy for 3 years and slowly found out that he had a porn addiction throughout the 3 years of I'd find like screenshotted photos on his phone from like a porn video he was watching, and I had to ask like, what the heck's this from? And I guess when he was younger, I mean, I'm in Utah, so a lot of people here are LDS, they're Mormon, and it was like super bad, you don't do that. So he would go to like the local McDonald's and use the Wi-Fi and watch porn and take screenshots. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that, but I'm like, you're an adult now. You have your own house. You don't.
Was he LDS?
Yes, he would. Yeah, he was raised that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was confused why this habit and behavior of his was still a part of his life, even though he was an adult and didn't live at home. But I didn't, make a big deal. I just said, look, I don't like it. I don't want to see it. Like, no offense. I want you to, if you're going to look that stuff up, I want you to struggle to get there. I want you to have to open a web browser. I want you to have to put it on private and search what you're like. I don't want this quick and easy and readily available. He agreed to do it, but it slowly, over these 3 years, it turned into him like asking me to do things like going to parties. I don't know what I can say on here or not. A bunch of people all together doing,
Oh, got it. Yeah. I got it. Yeah. Took me a
And
second.
I
I'm a little
was,
slow.
no, it's okay. I was shocked. I was like, wait, what? And it was like, if you love me, you'll do this. And I found myself doing things that I never, ever thought that I would do, like going to these parties. He would insist on watching me, have this stuff done to me, and then getting to the point of like inviting people over to his house. And long story short, I got out of that relationship, and I swore that I'd never be with a man that ever felt that it was acceptable to ask that of me. Like, I'm a monogamous person. That's what I want. That's what I want my man to feel the same way. I got into a relationship for 5 years, and this guy slowly convinced me to do OF with him to get money. And I thought in my head, okay, this is a step up. Like, this is better than the last relationship. I'm not having to physically, do anything with anybody. I'm with my own partner. But I realize now, like, I was literally giving him money. Like, it was to get him money. And the intimacy was no longer romantic. It was anytime we would go anywhere or do anything, he'd pull out the camera. Oh, we need to get content. Oh, we need to get content. Anytime we were intimate with each other, oh, let me pull out the camera. It completely like killed everything. It was awful. Yeah. I know that he also was raised Mormon. He actively tried not to look at porn. He had a daughter that he wanted to be an example to and didn't. So I know that he felt very guilty when he did do that stuff. But again, in my head, I thought this is a step up, right? Like, I'm not dealing with the same guy from before. Now, fast forward to today, which kind of gets complicated. I'm legally married to my husband, but he is in prison in a completely different state. I wrote him for 12 years. He was actually in prison for 12 years, basically since he was 19 to about 32. And when he got out, we met. Things were really, went really great. I was crazy. I got married to him like a month later. And he ended up back in prison. Nothing, crazy. He left state when he wasn't supposed to. So I guess my question.
He was in for 12 years. How did you guys meet?
It was like a pen pal thing. Like, I had found his information years and years ago, and that's essentially like how I started writing him. And then when he got out, we met, and like I said, I got married to him. He moved here illegally. I thought he told me he was approved to be here, but he wasn't. So I ended up having to call on him, and they took him back and basically resentenced him to what he, did all those years ago. So anyways, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Well, you met him while he was in prison?
Not physically, but I had written him for 12 years while he was in prison.
Got it. How old are you? You don't have to be precise, but roughly how old are you?
I'm 35. And I started when I was 19, 20, I think.
Okay.
Writing him. And then he got out, and like I said, we met.
What about the other relationships? Were those going on while you were pen paling this guy?
Yeah, because it wasn't an intimate thing. I was just really trying to be of support to him.
Okay.
and being his friend, and just, that's really all it was.
Okay.
And then,
And
like I said, when we
then
met, go
you
ahead.
guys got married
Sorry.
like right after you got out of prison, then he went back.
Correct.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
we
Got it.
spent a total of 1 year together physically while he was out before he was put back. So he's there now for 5 more years. But my question, I guess, is in my head, like, I know that while he was in there for 12 years, he paid for cam girls, which I didn't love hearing. But again, in my head, I'm like, this is a step up, right? Like, when he got out, I think the quote unquote worst thing that he did was, like, he went to a strip club. I was obviously not a huge fan of that. I thought these are behaviors where it leads to that kind of stuff, and where he's paid in the past for women. Like, I don't know what he's capable of. My question is at what point is an addiction an addiction? Because even though I'm married and he hasn't done any of these things that are very alarming, I wonder when and if he gets out, I can't continue to justify to myself, this is better than the last guy. I mean, it's like addiction even with alcohol. Alcoholism runs in my family. I've been very fortunate to not have like that as an addiction, but there was a period in my life where anytime I would go out to a restaurant, I would order a drink, and it was really just because I actually had the money, I had a good job, and it started to worry me because I was like, oh my gosh, am I becoming an alcoholic? And I had to go to the doctor and say, where does it start for somebody? Is it a person who never drinks till they start drinking, or is it a person that drinks normally 5 days a week and they increase to 7? Like, what really makes an addiction? So he put me on a preventative basically they give it to people who are alcoholics, but he gave it to me as a preventative measure because I was so freaked out. But my question, I guess, is at what point does porn or those types of behavior become an addiction or something I should be worried about when I look back at my past relationships and the one I'm currently in is not even close to that? But I wonder if I should be worried when he comes out, or things that I should be looking for.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure. I'll answer that question. And I have another question for you. But the way when I get the addiction question, I say, is it a problem? Do you want to stop? Have you tried to stop? And can you stop?
And this is a question to them, not to me, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're correct. I would ask him the question.
Right.
Do you think it's a problem? Do you want to stop? Have you tried to stop? And can you stop? So whether or not we call it an addiction, I think those are 4 important questions to get clear on. If you don't think it's a problem and you don't want to stop, then there's an answer for you. If he thinks it's a problem and he wants to stop, and he's tried to stop and he can't stop, you call it whatever you want to. Let's get some help with it, though. Now, I will say, in my experience, that if somebody doesn't get professional help, it doesn't necessarily have to be professional, but I use that word because it's understandable, but some intentional help. If somebody doesn't get professional or intentional help, the odds of relapsing or going back to pornography within 6 months is basically 100%.
Okay. So I think in my head I justified
I can't imagine that any prison system in the world has great pornography addiction recovery programs.
Right. Yeah. I think in my head I justified this cam stuff that he did because he was in there for so long that, he literally was raised in the system, that it was just a natural thing because he's surrounded by nothing but men, and that's not attractive to him. So he was doing anything to just see a woman, and I just justified, like, that's an acceptable behavior. Like I said, to my knowledge, he hasn't done anything like that when he was out. The only thing he did was, like, go to a strip club, and that was it. But I just sit here and think, oh, if he gets out again, like, is he going to be secretly, buying cam girls? And
here's my question for you. And I've heard this a few times, and what you're saying is, can I coach you hard here?
Of course you can.
Okay. it's you have this tendency to continue settling for the next least bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my question is, like, where did that start?
Like settling, well, 100%. I had a very rough childhood. I did not love myself. Familiarity, right? When you're used to abuse, physical, verbal, whatever, you accept that. And anything that's not that feels weird and different. And even though it's better and healthier for you as yourself, you're always going to go back to what is familiar, even if it's toxic. And I realize that now as I'm older, but I didn't at that time when I was in those really bad relationships.
Totally. So look, and that sucks. What happened to you as a child? Nobody should go through that.
Yeah.
And you developed, again, I'm going to take a guess here. I'm not saying I'm right. You developed a strategy, which is to just get the thing that's the next best, that's a little bit less worse than what I experienced because it feels better. That's a valid strategy for somebody who went through that.
Yeah, I would say you're right. I think in my head, I almost was praising myself, like, you're doing better. You're loving yourself more because you're not willing to tolerate a man that is going to force you to go to parties, right? Now you're just with a guy who's going to ask to record and just specifically do it with him, but do it for money, right? Like,
yeah.
And
now
to me, I was like, I'm loving it.
Yeah, a guy who's watching cam girls in prison.
Right.
And no judgment necessarily against these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what is it that you're wanting out of your relationship, your romantic relationship?
I mean, that's a very broad question. I mean, I want that solid commitment that, I always say, and I say it as a joke, but I know that men look. Doesn't matter if you're out and about at the gas station, there's a cute girl, she's wearing what she's wearing, guys look. And my saying is always, do that on your own time, don't do it on mine. So if you're out at work or with your friends and you obviously don't do anything, but I don't need to see you being inappropriate in front of me. And maybe I've just been convinced that that's just how men are, or I've been trained to think that, but that's just how I think men are.
Well, here's the thing. Some are, many are, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if a man is objectifying people when they're not with you, they're going to objectify you when they're with you, as evidenced by your first relationship where he literally took you around to parties and let other people do things to you. He treated you as an object.
Yeah.
Because he was doing it privately. So then it turned into doing that with you. That's why we should care about what people are doing in private.
Yeah. Okay.
Not in an authoritarian way, but it does matter. Because if people are watching porn in private, they're objectifying people. And I guarantee you they objectify people in public.
Yeah.
And not all men are like that, by the way. Many are, but not all.
I mean, that concept seems so foreign to me. Like, hearing you say it, I'm like, oh, that sounds great. But then when I really think about it, I'm like, I don't know if I even know any man. I mean, even my grandpa, who's in his 80s, is like that. Like, I just feel like that's just a man's brain. But I hear you. Can you find them for me, please?
They come on here every now and then. They come on here. Yeah. Well, and look, that's why I said earlier, any situation is redeemable. And somebody raised their eyebrow at that in the context I said it, but I firmly believe that any situation is redeemable. When somebody wants to change, they can change.
I do have faith in my husband. I really do. He really is such a great guy. I know it seems like not, right? Because he's in prison, but
I won't judge him. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know his story. I probably would have done the exact same thing he did if I was in the exact same position he was when he did what he did.
Yeah. And that's why I think, again, I justified it in like it's acceptable, but like he wasn't obviously out for very long to to have me see, like, is this an actual problem ongoing, or was that just something for him to fill that void for that all that time that he was in there, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, two things can be true. I mean, like, two things can be true. And yeah, so look, I don't know what the answer
Yeah.
is for you, but what if I'm hearing you correctly, I think part of this is look at what you're wanting in your
Mm-hmm.
relationships, and then consider, are you demanding you be treated like that? People treat us how we train them to treat us.
Yeah. Yep.
People treat us how we train them to treat us. If you're seeing a consistent pattern of people treating you the same way, myself included, okay, well, what is it about me that's allowing people to continue treating me like this?
Mm-hmm.
When you can't change somebody else or a situation, you are forced to change yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget one of my exes. I said, "Why do you treat me like this?" And his response was, "Your dumb ass will put up with it." And it was like
Ugh.
such an eye opener, because I was like, well, you're not wrong, because I guess I am. And I mean, again,
Yeah.
I did a lot of self-love and healing and whatever. And there's definitely things today even the smallest of things I will not tolerate. And yeah.
So
Okay.
look, this stuff is deeply ingrained in you, given your history, which I know very
Mm-hmm.
little about. But all this stuff comes back to how we view ourselves. What is our identity? What do we believe
Yeah.
is true about ourselves? Whether it's in our conscience, our conscious or our subconscious, we have these beliefs about ourselves, and that carries with us into how we posture ourselves in the world.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was my question, was, what makes an addiction an addiction? But those questions are great. And I might even ask them directly to my husband when I talk to him next and see what he says.
Well, yeah, and I think for you though, it's not a bad question. It's a great question. But then why are you asking that question, right? I know we talked through it, right? So like what's really the heart of what makes an addiction an addiction? I think the real question you're asking yourself in part is, should I stay with this guy or not? Is this really a little bit less bad than the previous guy, and am I okay with that? Or is there
You're
something
not
better?
Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. It's just, again, that idea that you tell me that there's these men that are not like that at all, and that just is so foreign to me. That almost that's unfathomable to me.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know. I'll find out, but I feel it's very different.
Yeah.
I guess wanted to know if there's certain things I should look at, because it's like people with alcoholism or even a drug addiction, they get help after it's a problem, and that sucks. What about when you can see signs of it becoming a problem? And that's really kind of where I'm at. It's like I don't feel like this is a problem for him, but I do see little things that I'm like, ooh, maybe we can nip it in the butt before it's at that point where we're having to do serious, therapy.
Well, look, in my point of view, it's any amount of regular porn use is a problem, because what they're doing is objectifying people. And that's the thing that needs to be reoriented if they want something different. So I'd look at it from that way, not how much is he using porn, how often, but it's the objectification of people. And that transcends like every aspect of your life. And that can be worked on, no doubt. Again, I'm not saying this guy's a bad guy or he's not the right guy. I don't know.
The way you explained it just then, it makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, even if he's using porn a little bit, okay, well, he's choosing to objectify people, and that's going to translate to the bedroom. That's going to translate to how he views work, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You've given me a lot to ponder on, and I really appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Plenty more where that came from. Join one of my groups. Thanks for sharing. Be boring. All right. Who's this person that gave? Rachel K., did you want to come on here? You're not even in the queue. You gave me a gazillion gifts. Crystal. Eileen, the brain science suggests it's a 2 to 5 year process to rewire the brain back to normal after a porn addiction. Hey, Crystal, what's up?
Hey, I've been enjoying this. It's actually helped me a lot. I've never been in a safe place to really talk about it besides a few people in my life.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way here, but and there's no such thing as a safe place. Just read all the comments.
Yeah.
But no,
I've just always tried to protect the kids, I guess. Well, you know, once I got away or whatever, I finally got away and I was safe. I just had to go into single mom drive, and I had to work all the time and take care of 2 kids by myself. So I never really tried to fix or deal with the problem up until, you know, my health kicked in, and, you know, now here I am. And I did sell my house. I bought a house by myself, which I'm pretty proud of, a few years ago. And I had $20,000 in savings because I worked my way up into a factory. And when I became ill with this rare sternum disease, I gave power of attorney to my sister. So my sister will get my children when I pass away.
Are you okay? Is that like, are you happy with that decision? Is that still the right decision for your kids?
Well, it's either that or they're going to go live with their dad.
Yeah. And you have the ability to make that decision?
I did. I signed power of attorney over already.
But
I sold my house to my sister.
I thought he still gets like rights to the
He
kids.
has, okay, so she explained it as right now he's paying me a little bit of child support each week. So I get like $50, and he's supposed to get them every other week, but he doesn't. So we haven't really tried to fight it. And I think he came about a month ago to get my son, and he spent the day with him, and that was it. But she said that she thinks that when I pass away that he will try to get custody of them, because he thinks that that's, you know, it's a property thing. You know, he owns us. And even though he really doesn't want them, you know, I mean, it's just a power trip thing, I think, is what she explained it to me. And so she's a lawyer, and she's very well off. And so she bought the house. So when I pass away, she'll leave the house for the kids or whatever. And she'll raise them, and hopefully they'll be safe.
Is it possible, Crystal, that he has been acting inappropriate with your sister as well?
No, my sister wanted to put him in prison, and I don't know why because she didn't, because I wouldn't get on the stand at the time. But at that time I was 24, and and it was 10 years ago. And so for some reason we haven't dealt with it. She was just like, the years have passed, we can't do nothing. He doesn't really get him anyway. But, you know, now that I'm older and I have started, my mind has like realized that this has happened and it's not okay. It took a long time for that to happen. You know what I mean? I mean, I knew what had happened. I knew I had been tortured and all that, but it took a long time for, like, I guess my brain to heal. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, for years of being drugged and I just focused on trying to get the kids safe, or a house, and, you know, clothes, and taking care of them by myself. And I never really thought about me. And then they said that the drugs induced the lupus, and then the lupus caused sepsis, which caused the bone disease. So now my sternum has rotted out, and I have 6 ribs that are rotting out, and they can't remove it. So I am, we don't know how long I have. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, again, I'd encourage you, see what action you can take if that's what you're wanting to do. There's got to be other possibilities there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like before I pass away, he destroyed my life, and he deserves to go to prison, period. The things he did to me as a child was wrong, and he groomed me for that. I would never do that to anybody. I couldn't imagine. I can't imagine. That's why I'm this way. I'm very kind and quiet, I guess, but I guess because I've known evil, that I can't believe that that really, it took a long time to, they said I was in denial about it. And it took me a long time to learn that that was not love, and that was not okay, because he brainwashed me for years, you know. And my sister was unaware, and I don't understand why. I mean, she had to know that I was living in a house with a grown man, but she had a family of her own. She's a lot older than me, and she lived, you know, about an hour away from me when I was growing up. So she didn't know that I was being hurt. And when she started coming around, he finally unlocked me and got me off the dog collar. But and then I was just scared to tell her.
Has your story like been in the news or anything?
No. I know. My fiance, he wants me to write a book before I pass. He was like, "You need to tell your story," because he's like, it's something that you hear, you know, and see in the movies. And I was like, it's not something you just want to broadcast, you know. And I said I didn't want the kids to know that that's what they came from. But now that I'm older and I've been in therapy, and I'm finally, you know, not been in the hospital for 6 months, I'm to a point where I'm like, enough is enough. He deserves to go to prison. He deserves the embarrassment, because he sure didn't care to do it to me. And yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, there are ways to get that story out there still, whether there's legal ramifications or not. There are things you can do, and not that serving him justice is the ultimate goal. I mean, though it could be, but for the sake of you really living free, and for your kids to live free, because the reality is the kids are going to know this story. They will.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know every detail, but their bodies will know what happened.
You can already tell that he's starting to try to, the times that he does go to their things or whatever, that he's starting to put stuff in their head that it's me keeping them from him, and I see it, and I'm like, you know, now I'm physically able. I mean, I literally have been in the hospital for 2 years. So I was like, maybe I've put the kids through enough, because they watched me almost die so many times, and they know that I'm very, very sick. I didn't want, I mean, it's just so much tragedy in their life, and I didn't want to, I don't know. It's a lot, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. It's tough. How
much can one kid take? Losing their mom and finding out all this happened, you know, to their mother. I mean, it's just sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. And they're still not out of the woods yet.
No. And I told the doctor, I said, you know, so when you have osteomyelitis, you're supposed to remove the bone, because it's like staph. I had staph get into, my kidneys got septic, and the infection traveled to my sternum. And that's very rare.
For those of you in the comments, Crystal was on like 30 minutes ago, and she shared this whole story. So you're not going to have some context here.
And so the bone got infected, and it took a year for them to finally diagnose it, because it was just so rare. And anyway, so the infection has literally eaten the sternum, and there's like pieces of it left. I have to be very, very careful. There's 6 bones. You're supposed to remove the dead bone, and they told me I would not make it through the surgery. So I'm having to get these treatments, like cancer treatments. I go in and have 6 weeks of Dilavance for an hour and a half. And he said he could keep me alive for a couple of years like that, because I was like, I have to live to see my daughter get a little bit older, at least driving. So I don't know. It's just terrifying is really what it is. It's because I feel like I can't protect them.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to.
Yeah,
So.
it's tough. Well, somebody in the chat suggested joining a DV group, a domestic violence group. Maybe that, there's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah. I've been doing therapy, so I've got to this point, but I do appreciate, someone said that they were going to message me some stuff. Maybe I can do something.
Yeah.
So he don't get away with what he's done.
Yeah.
But thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming back, Crystal. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I'm going to bed. I used to have a hard cutoff at midnight. Then it became 12:30. Then it became 1. And now it's 1:30 my time. All right. For those of you who didn't come on, next time. Or schedule a call with me. I have 2 more slots for tomorrow. I only have a limited number of slots. Again, my name is Austin Hamilton, porn and sex addiction recovery coach. And women's betrayal trauma coach. I have groups both for men dealing with unwanted sexual behavior and women dealing with betrayal trauma. I also do one-on-one coaching. If you're interested in that, you can go to the link in my bio and schedule a call with me if you'd like. I have 2 more slots available for tomorrow morning. And assuming I don't sleep through all of them, but I won't. And if you're interested in joining a group, you can do that. $99 a month. It's a great place. Porcelain, pretty, whatever. $99 a month. We meet for an hour and 15 minutes weekly on Zoom. The women's calls are facilitated by myself and other female contributors. I have some great guests coming on in the next couple of weeks, and they're totally private calls. So all the groups are completely private. So nothing happens on TikTok that happens in a group. So if you want to see one of the guests, you can join one of the groups. And that's where the magic really happens. I also do one-on-one coaching and groups for men who are dealing with porn or sex addiction. And the progress that people make when they're in my groups is incredible. The only special thing about my groups is it's a place for people to be connected with one another in an intimate and vulnerable and trustworthy space. I don't like using the word safe because the world is not safe, but it's a trustworthy space. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. And when we feel connected to each other, we tend to start striving for better things in our life. And it's amazing. I also have a Discord community, which I'm going to start charging money for. So I turned off the link for that. But if you join one of my groups, you get access to the Discord community as well. So thanks for being here. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Thank you for sharing your stories. We're all in different places in life. And we can all choose the path that we want to take in life. If you've been betrayed, you are not alone. It is very painful. It's like your world turned upside down. And if you're stuck in an addiction to porn, know that it's also not your fault. That started somewhere as well. Behind every man dealing with a porn addiction is a story that's dying to be told. We all just want to be seen and known and loved for the person we are, not for the person who we think everybody else thinks we should be. So, if we have the courage to share our story, that is when we can make progress and move forward. So you can schedule a call, link in my bio, or come back on my next live. Until next time, we'll see ya. Bye-bye. It's all right, Brittany, or whatever your name was, Bridget. Be boring? No, you're great. Don't be sorry. You got a lot to unpack there. All right. Bye-bye.